Chapter 535. Fong Yingying had just gotten into the zone, and didn't notice the strange gazes of others. He pinched Fong Haohen's chin with his chubby hand and said with a lewd smile, "Don't struggle, don't resist. The more you struggle, the happier I'll be. The more you resist, the more excited I'll be. I like little girls like you. Come, let me have a taste." As he spoke, Fong Yingying moved his chubby sausage mouth toward Fong Haohen's lips. Sun Li couldn't stand it anymore. She strode toward Fong Yingying, who was acting like a hooligan, and shouted angrily, "Hooligan, stop." It was like a basin of frozen water in the middle of winter, like a basin of boiling water in the middle of summer. This kind of feeling was too cruel, but it was also burning hot and peeling off his skin. Fong Yingying didn't expect that someone would keep staring at them. And it was the pretty policewoman that he had fallen in love with at first sight. Fong Yingxiong, who didn't have much experience in love, was dumbfounded when he saw her embarrassed and angry look on her face. She rushed over and looked like she wanted to beat him up. His body was stiff, the fat on his face was shaking, and his right hand was still pinching Fong Haohen's chin. He looked anxiously at the policewoman. He wanted to say something to explain, but his throat felt like it was stuffed with dough, and he couldn't say a word. Such a scene was too embarrassing. He wanted to explain, but he did not know where to start. Sun Li rushed in front of Fong Yingying because of her anger. After thinking about it, she took 2 steps back and kept a safe distance from Fong Yingying. She pointed at Fong Yingying and shouted, "Hooligan, let go of your dirty hands." "Let go?" "Yes, let go of his dirty hands." After Sun Li's reminder, Fong Yingying knew what he should do first. He let go of Fong Haohen's sharp chin and anxiously explained to Sun Li, "I'm not a hooligan." "You are a hooligan." Sun Li was so angry that her body trembled. She looked at Fong Yingying with disdain and said, "Do you think I didn't see what you did just now? I don't discriminate against love between comrades, but if you force someone when they don't like you, it's a kind of hooligan behavior. Not only are you behaving like a hooligan, but you're also breaking the law." Fong Yingying glanced at Fong Haohen and said with a smile, "Police comrade, you misunderstood." "Misunderstanding? I saw you groping someone with my own eyes, and you still dare to say that I misunderstood? Do you think I'm blind?" "Yes, I did touch him," Fong Yingying explained with a serious face. "But police comrade, it's not what you think. He and I are friends, brothers. He's my brother, my biological brother." "You're my brother," Fong Haohen said snappily. He hated it when people touched his chin. "You're Fong Yingying, and I'm Fong Haohen. Isn't the hero always ranked before the hero? Why should I be older than you?" "Yes, yes, yes." Fong Yingying nodded repeatedly. He pointed at Fong Haohen and said to the policewoman, "Police comrade, did you hear that? I'm Fong Yingying, and he's Fong Haohen. I'm his brother and we're actors. We're international non-famous actors. We're just fooling around. This is really a misunderstanding." Sun Li's eyes swept between Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen's faces and said, "Are you two really brothers?" "We're really brothers." Fong Yingying nodded with great sincerity and determination. Sun Li looked at their faces again and said, "Take out your IDs." She still could not believe that these 2 people were blood brothers. How could blood brothers look like? Such a strange appearance. Fong Yingying and Fong Haohen looked at each other, and had no choice but to take out their IDs from their pockets and hand them over to the policewoman. Sun Li looked at their IDs, and her expression became even more confused. Are these 2 really blood brothers? One was called Fong Yingying, and the other was called Fong Haohen? Their birthplace and address were both in a place called Swallow Dock? "You 2 come with me." Sun Li's attitude towards the 2 became even worse. "Why?" Fong Yingying asked in confusion. "We've both taken out our IDs to prove that we're brothers. Can't we joke around between brothers? I suspect that your IDs are fake." Sun Li said, "Our IDs are real. Our identities are fake." Fong Haohen couldn't hold it in anymore. He stood up in front of Fong Yingying and said, "We're not actors and we weren't rehearsing a scene just now. Fong Yingying wanted to pursue you, so he asked me to act out a scene with him. He said he wanted me to act as a hooligan who wanted to touch you. I didn't know how to act as a hooligan, so he personally demonstrated it to me. There's never been such a brainless way to pick up a girl." Fong Haohen, shut up. Fong Yingying wanted to block Fong Haohen's mouth. This idiot, how could he say such a thing out loud? Fang Yingying, you're the one who should shut up. Fang Haohan said snappily. It's already like this, how long are you going to hide it? Don't you just like her? What's there to hide about this kind of thing? We're martial artists and we do things to protect the country and the people. Chasing a girl. What's there to hide? Fang Haohan looked at Sun Li expressionlessly and said, He likes you, do you like him? Sun Li looked at Fang Haohan, then at Fang Yingxiong, whose face was purplish red from holding back his anger. She opened her mouth and shouted angrily, The two of you, come with me. Huacheng, the station police office. Police comrade, we're good people. Look at my face. I'm so fat, how could I be a bad person? Fang Yingying pointed at his fat face and said with a wronged expression, Thin people are bad people? Fang Haohan was very dissatisfied with Fang Yingying's argument and retorted, Most bad people are thin people. Look at the TV shows, it's always Fatso who plays the good guy. Hiding a dagger behind a smile, that's exactly what people like you, Fatso. Bam! Sun Li slammed the table, pointed at Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan and scolded, Can you two stop arguing? This is the police station. Is there anyone coming to pick you up? If no one comes to pick you up, I'll lock you up for a night. Seeing that Sun Li was angry, Fang Yingying's heart ached. He kicked Fang Haohan and said, Fang Haohan, can you not always go against me? A man should have a man's elegance. Don't you know that you're acting like a child that hasn't grown up yet? Seeing that Fang Haohan wanted to retaliate again, Fang Yingying quickly said, Call Junior Marshal Uncle again and see where he is. When Fang Yan pushed open the door of the interrogation room, he happened to hear Fang Yingying yelling for Fang Haohan to call him. Fang Yan stood at the door of the room and smiled guiltily at Sun Li. He said, Sorry I'm late. My two friends, did they do anything illegal? Sun Li looked at Fang Yan and thought to herself, This man is indeed handsome. Too bad, how could he be friends with two idiots like them? They didn't do anything illegal, it's just that. Sun Li thought about it and didn't want to pursue their other responsibilities. Although these two fellows looked strange, they looked silly, so they weren't bad people. So she looked at Fang Yan and said, Forget it, there's some misunderstanding. Come and sign here and take them back. Thank you, Fang Yan said gratefully. Fang Yan signed the document that Sun Li handed over and nodded at her. He turned to look at Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan and said, Let's go. Fang Haohan stood up, walked in front of Fang Yan, and said respectfully, Junior Marshal Uncle. Fang Yingying looked at Sun Li reluctantly and said, Miss, I'm fine now, right? You're fine, Sun Li said. It's time to get off work. You're no longer a police officer, and I'm no longer your suspect, right? That's right. Sun Li nodded. What do you want to say? I mean, can you? Fang Yingying's fat face turned red again, like a heated braised pig head. Can you give me your phone number? Sun Li stared at him and said, Why do you want my phone number? I think. Fang Yingying hesitated for a few seconds and said, I'm not a good person, and I may often make mistakes. If I get your phone number, I can call the police directly when I make a mistake. That way, I can prevent my mistakes from becoming bigger and hurting innocent people. Fang Yan looked at Fang Yingying in surprise. How did he come up with such a shameless reason? Why do I always have a very embarrassing feeling when I'm with them? I'm just a police officer. I know. Fang Yingying nodded seriously. I often take the bullet train. The bullet train we met on. It's fine if there are hooligans causing trouble, but if there aren't hooligans causing trouble, I don't know how to find you. Sun Li didn't know whether to laugh or cry and said, Who prays for hooligans causing trouble? Besides, why are you looking for me? I like you. Fang Yingying looked straight into Sun Li's eyes and said, Do you like me? Fang Yingying followed up with another question. Sun Li shook her head and said, No. Fang Yingying's face was extremely embarrassed, and there was an emotion called sadness in his eyes. Soon he grinned again and said, I knew you would answer like this. Confessing to you on the first day we met seems a bit exaggerated. It's like a man who treats feelings as child's play. You don't know me yet, so you think you don't like me. If you know me, you'll know that I'm not the kind of playboy who only has a good appearance. Fang Yingying reached out to hold Sun Li's hand, but Sun Li avoided it. Fang Yingying clicked his tongue with some regret and said, "If I can only say this to one woman in my life, I hope that the recipient is you. I like you. By the way, girl, what's your name?" Chapter 536. Fang Yingying's eyes were wide open and round. The expression on his face was so sincere and serious. People say that serious men are the most attractive. For example, men who are serious about laying bricks, men who are serious about writing, men who are serious about repairing water pipes, men who are serious about cooking and washing vegetables, men who are serious about courtship or serious about making love. However, why does Sun Li always have a feeling that she will accidentally laugh? If she laughs at such a moment, it must hurt the man's self-esteem, right? However, she really can't stand it. She felt that Fang Yingying at this time was like a serious and cute Garfield. Thinking of Garfield's appearance, Sun Li couldn't hold it anymore. Pooh! She sprayed out the tea in her mouth, and it splashed on Garfield's cute face. I'm sorry. Sun Li quickly took out a tissue to wipe Fang Yingying's face. Fang Yingying still maintained his original posture, and let Sun Li wipe his face with the tissue. He said, "Do you promise me? I'll take this sip of tea as a token of love from you." Sun Li threw away the tissue in her hand and said angrily, "Why are you so thick-skinned? Spitting out a mouthful of tea is a token of love. Spitting on your face, does it mean that we have a French kiss? Because I like you. If other women treat me like this, I would have already spat back." Fang Yingying's face was covered with clear water stains. He looked at Sun Li firmly and said, "Girl, you haven't told me your name yet." "Sun Li." Sun Li hesitated and replied, "Sun Li. A good woman is afraid of a pestering man." Under Fang Yingying's pestering, the policewoman finally said her name. "Sun Li." Fang Yingying wrote down the name seriously and said, "You look good and have a nice name. No wonder I liked you so much when I saw you." I introduced myself in the car, but it wasn't a formal occasion. My name is Fang Yingying. Fang Yingying looked at Sun Li and said, "A square is a square place, and a hero is a hero who saves a beauty." "Okay, I'll remember it." Sun Li waved her hand and said, "You guys go back quickly, I'm going to get off work." "I'll be back," Fang Yingying said. "Goodbye," Fang Yan said with a smile. According to the rules in the sect, he was a generation older than Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan had always called him junior martial uncle. However, in his heart, he treated these two guys who were the same age as him as his own brothers. Su Wan also treated them as her own sons. According to the rules of normal people, Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan should be married and have children at their age. However, the reality was that the two of them hadn't even been in a normal relationship. He was really afraid that as time passed, the two of them would become more and more pleasing to the eye and get together. That would be a big deal. His mother, Su Wan, would definitely go crazy. Now seeing Fang Yingying take the initiative to attack a girl, Fang Yan was sincerely happy for him. If possible, he also hoped that the two of them could be together. Sun Li was beautiful, and her character was also very wild, which could suppress Fang Yingying's disease of being a slut. Look at him, didn't he find Yiro as his girlfriend? Bah. What am I talking about? Goodbye. Sun Li stood up. She didn't know why, but she always felt a little strained when facing Fang Yan. It was like there was something invisible covering the top of her head, making it difficult for her to breathe. And even the movement of getting up was a little stiff. Is this nervousness? But why am I nervous? Even when facing the leader of their branch office, I didn't feel so nervous. Fang Yan patted Fang Yingying's shoulder, looked at Sun Li and said, "He is my brother." "I know." Sun Li nodded. "He is a good man," Fang Yan said seriously. Sun Li understood the weight of Fang Yan's words. After thinking for a long time, she nodded and said, "I know." Fang Yan smiled and said, "Goodbye." "Goodbye." Fang Yan's car was parked in the yard. Fang Yingying saw the BMW and said, "Yo, Junior Marshal Uncle bought a car. Principal Lu's car. She doesn't need it for the time being, so I borrowed it." Fang Yan said and walked to the driver's seat. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan's eyes looked at each other vaguely. Fang Yingying walked over and opened the door of the passenger seat. He sat down and asked, "Junior Marshal Uncle, where are we staying this time?" "Staying with me," Fang Yan said. "Of course we are staying with Junior Marshal Uncle. We still have to take care of Junior Marshal Uncle's food and clothing," Fang Yingying said shamelessly. "By the way, are we going back to school? Are we still staying in the small courtyard where we lived before? To be honest, that courtyard is really good. I have feelings for living there." "No," Fang Yan said. "In Plum Garden." Plum Garden was the villa community where Lu Chaoga lived now. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were also going to live with them. "It's not appropriate, is it?" Fang Yingying said embarrassedly. "I heard that Junior Marshal Uncle and Principal Lu live together. Will we disturb you if we go there?" Fang Yan drove without looking sideways. He was afraid that if he saw Fang Yingying's current appearance, he would beat him up. He said aloud, "You must live in Plum Garden. You have to go there." Fang Yan was too familiar with the thoughts of these two guys. They were nominally his martial nephews, but in fact, they were more inclined to be Yi Gentle's undercover agents. They kept saying that they were going to live in Rosefinch's courtyard, but in fact, they wanted to test the relationship between him and Lu Chaoga. If he was stupid and really let them live in Rosefinch's courtyard, Yi Gentle would probably be furious. "What shameful thing did I do with Lu Chaoga? Why did she kick Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan away?" Fang Haohan sat in the back seat, took out his cell phone from his pocket, and secretly sent a message. There were only 2 words in the message, Plum Garden. Fang Yan had long been accustomed to the betrayal of these two guys. He asked, "Why did you two come by train? Isn't it faster by plane? And you had a conflict with the police?" With a sad face, Fang Yingying said, "Some time ago, Yinjing held a world boxing competition. The Thai boxing champion, Ha Chai, was arrogant and domineering. He said that he would beat all the masters in Wuxia and show us the power of Muay Thai. Ha Chai took a plane to Yinjing to participate in the competition, but the plane crashed in Malaysia. So what if he is good at Kung Fu? Isn't there only a dead end for him? A martial arts senior once said that I should keep everything under control, so I only take the train. If there is something wrong with the train, we can jump out of the train. What if there is something wrong with the plane? Can we jump out of the train? It's too dangerous. It's not in line with the style of us martial arts practitioners who seek perfection and stability. We took the train." Fang Haohan said in the back seat. "If the train breaks down..." Fang Yingying turned back angrily and said, "Fang Haohan, shut your crow's mouth. I haven't settled the matter of you betraying me on the train. If I didn't tell the truth, you would have been locked up in the police station for hooliganism," Fang Haohan retorted. When Fang Yan took Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan back, Lu Chaoga had already prepared a large table full of food. The injury on Lu Chaoga's palm was almost healed. During this time, she often cooked, but Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan felt flattered. The director of Rosefinch Secondary, the chairman of Chaoyan Technology, was a goddess in their hearts. Now she personally cooked such a large table of delicious food for the two brothers. Although they hadn't eaten it yet, they felt that the food was very delicious at first glance. Lu Chaoga wore a set of white casual clothes with an apron around her neck. She wiped her hands with a handkerchief and smiled at Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan. "Are you hungry? The room has been prepared for you. You can go upstairs to take a shower and change your clothes before going downstairs to eat." "Thank you, Principal Lu," Fang Yingying said gratefully. "Don't call me Principal Lu," Lu Chaoga said. "If you don't mind, just call me Sister Lu." "Thank you, Sister Lu." Fang Yingying immediately changed the way he addressed her. Fang Yan took Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan upstairs. Fang Haohan whispered to Fang Yingying, "She told us to call her Sister Lu. Why are you calling her Sister Lu? Don't you think I'll look cuter if I add one more word?" Fang Yingying asked. Fang Yan's footsteps slipped, and he almost missed a step and fell flat on his face. This Fang Yingying. Now he knew how to act cute? Fang Yan took Fang Yingying to the westernmost room on the 2nd floor. He pushed open the door and said to Fang Yingying, "Hero, this is your room. Chaoga knew you were coming, so she prepared the room in advance. The bedsheets and bedding are all new. There are also some clothes and pajamas prepared for you in the wardrobe. The training clothes and cloth shoes are also prepared. If you need anything else, you can tell her or me. Hero's room is on the other side, and you two will live opposite each other. Feng Haohan pushed open the door to his own room, which was exactly the same as the one on the other side. The furniture was brand new, and the bedsheets were all new. There was a faint fragrance in the air, and they could see the beautiful scenery when they opened the window. This is a luxurious house, Feng Yingying said with a sigh. It's so comfortable, Feng Haohan said. Feng Yan saw that the two brothers were very satisfied with the place, so he said, "You two wash up and go downstairs to eat. I'll go downstairs and have a look." After Feng Yan left, Feng Yingying and Feng Haohan hurried to the same room, and Feng Yingying closed the door carefully. "Be careful. You must be careful," Feng Yingxiong said with a dignified expression. "This is a plot to sow discord. They want to bribe us and place us undercover agents around Miss Yi. I'm Miss Ye's woman, and I'm Miss Ye's dead woman. I will never betray Miss Yi." Feng Haohan hurriedly swore. Feng Yingying nodded deeply and said, "That's right. But Sister Lu is also a good person. It would be great if Junior Marshal Uncle could marry 2 wives. Feng Haohan thought for a moment and said regretfully, "It's useless even if you tell me. We can't help with this kind of thing." Chapter 537. Whether it was Yi Rou, Lu Chaoga, or Qin Yitian who was also in Yanjing, they were all outstanding women of the present age. No matter who they entrusted their lives to, that man would be the most envied person in the world. However, things became complicated when these women gathered around Feng Yan at the same time. At least, Feng Yingying and Feng Haohan felt it was very troublesome to deal with this kind of thing. Think about it, if Lu Chaoga, Yi Rou, and Qin Yitian all fell in love with one of them at the same time. How terrible it would be. I can't help him either. Feng Yingying shook his head and sighed. It's not that we don't want to share the burden of Junior Marshal Uncle, but this kind of thing. The key is his own determination. If he likes it, we like it. If they don't like it, we can't like it either. Feng Haohan said. Because they won't like us either. That's hard to say. Feng Yingying had always been very confident about his charm. Women nowadays like ambiguous men. Look at me. Am I ambiguous? Women like dubious men. They don't like hugging a stove. You're a big stove. You will roast people alive. Feng Haohan, do you want to fight? No. Feng Haohan turned around and went back to his room. Feng Yingxiong was very angry. He took off all his clothes and rushed into the bathroom. Stroking his round belly, he looked at himself in the mirror and said, "Why isn't this a flirting man? How come I am not an ambiguous man? Which girl doesn't feel warm holding such a big pile of meat?" Feng Yingying and Feng Haohan took a shower and went downstairs. Feng Yan and Lu Chaoga were already waiting for them in the living room for dinner. Feng Yan purposely went out and called Qining in. Qining followed the rules and was unwilling to enter the house. Feng Yan smiled and said that if Qining did not come in, he would not be able to secretly learn his martial arts in the future. Qining was very anxious. He had been learning from Feng Yan for a period of time, and discovered that some of Feng Yan's methods were very effective. He did not focus on punches and kicks, but on the depth and ingenuity of his strength. However, when the two of them exchanged blows, he didn't have the strength to resist Feng Yan at all. He always had a sullen feeling of being suppressed. He knew that Feng Yan was playing at a higher level than him, and was greedily absorbing the knowledge. If Feng Yan really refused to let him practice martial arts with him in the morning, where else could he find such a good teacher? "Isn't it just a meal?" Qining said with a flushed face. "Even if I have to eat a bowl of sh*tea, I'll accept it." Seeing Qin Ying's heroic appearance, Feng Yan thought of asking Feng Yingying to have a good talk with him when he woke up the next morning. It had been a while since he had seen a hero. He wanted to see if these two brats' martial arts had improved, and if they were slacking off when they were at Swallow Dock. Feng Yan opened a bottle of Maotai and filled the glasses in front of them. Then he raised his own glass and looked at everyone present. He said, "I haven't drunk for a while. First, there's nothing worth drinking. Second, I don't have the mood to drink. Today is to welcome the heroes, and also to express my gratitude to Qining for his hard work these few years. Let me give you a toast. After Fang Yan finished speaking, he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. I just did what I should do. After Qining finished speaking, he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan raised their glasses and said, "To Junior Martial Uncle. There's no reason. You're our Junior Martial Uncle after all." After that, they drank the wine in their glasses as well. Fang Yan poured himself another glass of wine, then said to Lu Xiaoga, "Here's to Xiaoga. It's so nice to have you." Fang Yan didn't say thank you, for that sounded too frivolous and distant. If someone gave you a pound of apples, you had to say thank you. If someone gave you a carton of milk, you had to say thank you. If someone said something auspicious, you had to say thank you. If someone gave you directions, you had to say thank you. How could thank you express Fang Yan's affection and gratitude for Lu Xiaoga? It was so nice to have you. Those words carried a lot of weight. In this world, who couldn't live without each other? Who couldn't live without each other? One had to go through a lot of people in life, and most of them would just brush past each other. Only one or two people would make you thank God and thank fate for letting you meet each other. Those people were the most precious treasures of your life. I just did what I wanted to do. Lu Xiaoga looked at Fang Yan and said. He raised his glass and clinked it with Fang Yan. Then he drank up the white wine as well. She understood what he was going to say. She understood what he wasn't going to say. Fang Yan drank 2 glasses in a row before he put down his glass and said with a smile, "Let's all try Principal Lu's cooking. Chances like this don't come often." Qining said with a smile, "I'm going to have a good taste. I'll have to eat more today." Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan couldn't stop praising Lu Xiaoga's cooking. Their flattery made Fang Yan want to kill them. The 5 of them drank 3 bottles of Maotai. Qining went out to patrol after he finished drinking. He seemed to be fine. Lu Xiaoga was a little drunk. She said goodbye to everyone and went upstairs to rest. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were here, so Fang Yan didn't have to do the dishes himself. Fang Haohan went to do the dishes, and Fang Yingying went to make some tea. The 3 of them sat in the courtyard on the balcony and chatted while drinking tea. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan talked about the interesting things in Swallow Dock. They talked about how the old man brought the King Kong eagle that Qin Etian gave him to go around the village every day. He even started to train the eagle. The King Kong eagle had a strong personality, but it was very compatible with the old man. The 2 of them had established a basic communication method. They said that Yi Ro was in seclusion, and they hadn't seen each other for a long time. It was said that she was about to break through again. If he broke through again, he might leave youngest martial uncle in the dust again. But they didn't mention the 2 important people of the Fang family. One was Fang Yan's mother, Lu Wan, the other was the old drunkard. Where's the old drunkard? There's still no news from him? Fang Yan tried his best to sound relaxed, but the expression on his face was still too stiff. No. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan's expression also turned serious. It's been 3 years since Master went to the Arctic, and there's no news from him. Zhu Zidong came back from Mo Bay 3 months ago. He said he went to the Arctic to search, and found no trace of Master. He also said, what else? He also said that the Arctic is not suitable for humans to live in. Fang Yan's heart became heavier. After a long silence, he said in a low voice, when the old drunkard left, he said to Grandpa, either we return home in one piece or we have a sky burial in Snow Kingdom. We owe him this. Junior Martial Uncle, is there really such a thing in the world? The ice dragon is a legend. To use the ice dragon's muscles to make up for the defects of the human body. This is impossible. That old guy, the medical fanatic, is not a good person. We prepared gifts for him, but he couldn't cure us. How could he use this mysterious pond to harm people? He hasn't even seen it himself. Why would he ask Master to find it for him? And even if he finds it, he still has to leave him half a pound of blood. He has taken all the advantages in the world. There are not many doctors in the world who are good people. Fang Yan's face was gloomy. He said, since the medical fanatic dared to write this prescription, it proves that there is such a thing in the world. I have seen the introduction of the ice dragon in the extraordinary medical record. It is shaped like a dragon and its skin is like ice. The book said that the blood of the ice dragon is extremely hot and can even burn the air. Hot blood can cure all diseases, cold blood can prolong life. But it did not say that the meridians of the ice dragon can make up for the broken meridians. More importantly, the ice dragon is rare in the world and can only be obtained by those who are fated. In the land of extreme cold, there is no human habitation and no plants grow. Except for those animals that can withstand the cold, there is almost no life. It is not easy to survive there, let alone to find an ice dragon that can fuse with the ice and snow in the vast sea of snow. The old drunkard was not the old drunkard at his peak. He only had moves, but no energy to support them. At this time, the old drunkard was not even a match for Fang Yan. He went to that place alone with his spear. Not to mention finding the ice dragon, it was unknown whether he could come back alive. But no one opposed the old drunkard's choice, and no one stopped the old drunkard's footsteps. Because everyone knew that since the old drunkard said he would definitely go. No one could persuade him, no one could stop him. Unless he died. The old drunkard's surname was Mo, but he was a member of the Fang family. Fang Hui's legs were crippled, and Fang Yixing died tragically at the entrance of Swallow Dock. Although his 3 uncles were talented, they could not bear the heavy responsibility. Other than the young Fang Yan, the Fang family had no one to support them. At this time, someone had to stand up. Someone had to wipe the Fang family's name. Someone had to shoulder the burden of the Fang family. Someone had to protect the old, the young, the sick and the disabled from the wind and rain, as well as the murderous intent that could come at any time. He stood up, and stood side by side with Fang Yan. At this time, Fang Yan was in a difficult situation, and it was too hard. So the old drunkard chose to believe the words of the medicine fanatic, and grasped the last straw of hope that was almost like a myth. Fang Yan knew that the old drunkard might not come back. But how could he say such words? He and the old drunkard were apprentice brothers, but they were like father and son. His Tai Chi foundation was taught by the old drunkard, his Fang Plum Blossom steps was taught by the old drunkard, and his Tai Chi palm, Tai Chi finger and Tai Chi 13 forms were all taught by the old drunkard. Many people said that he was a genius of Tai Chi, to be able to understand the heart of Tai Chi at such a young age. But who knew how much enlightenment the old drunkard had given him? A famous teacher produces a brilliant disciple. Without a famous teacher, how could there be a brilliant disciple like him? Fang Yixing died in battle, and Fang Yan felt extremely guilty, because for so many years, their relationship as father and son wasn't harmonious, and was even a little indifferent. But Fang Yan and the old drunkard talked about everything, drinking, training and commenting on the heroes of the world. When the two of them were together, they were more like father and son. Fang Yan had lost his father, Fang Yixing. Could it be that he was going to lose another important man in his life, the old drunkard? How tragic would such a fate be? Chapter 538. The old drunkard will definitely come back. Fang Yan said in a very firm voice. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan were surprised. Fang Yingying asked, Junior Martial Uncle, how do you know that my master will come back? Do you have any contact with my master? Yeah, I knew it. Although he didn't contact us, he would definitely contact you. In our family, he has the closest relationship with you. He called you? Oh, there's no signal in the land of extreme cold. He wrote you a letter. That's not right. There's no way to send a letter. How did he contact you? The old drunkard has come back. Fang Yan said. Already back? What kind of person was the old drunkard in the past? He was the Wuxia Azure Dragon who dared to challenge the heroes of the world. What kind of person was the old drunkard later? He was a decadent and degenerate countryman who loved alcohol as his life. At that time, the old drunkard was long gone. His heart was dead. A hero with a white head, a beauty in her twilight years, this was more tragic than death. At that time, the old drunkard lived a life worse than death. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used alcohol as food to numb himself every day. The longer he slept, the less he thought. Maybe his heart would be more comfortable. However, he still stood up in the end. For the Fang family, for me, and for you, he made the choice to go to the land of extreme cold. The moment he stood up, he came back. The moment he made the choice, he came back to life. No matter what the final outcome is, he is no longer the old drunkard. He is still the indomitable Wuxia azure dragon in our hearts. Don't underestimate the enemy. A person is not even afraid of death. What else is there to be afraid of? So what if it's the land of extreme cold? So what if it's the invisible ice dragon? He will definitely drink the dragon's blood, take out the dragon's tendons, cleanse the marrow and repair the meridians, and return as the king. Fang Yingying looked at Fang Yan with red eyes, wiped his nose and said, Junior Martial Uncle, when Master comes back, you must beat that Wuxia dragon god up. And Jiang Junling, he also bullied us. Fang Haohan gritted his teeth and said, There's also Jiang Zhulu. He and Junior Martial Uncle are fighting over a woman. There's also Bai Xiao. I feel like beating him up every time I see him. And Zhang Beinian last time he looked at me sideways. There's also Li Xiaoying. He said that eating glass is an illness and needs to be treated properly. Li Xiaoying even asked me to lose weight. How am I fat? So what if I'm fat? Wearing their clothes and eating their rice? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan discussed enthusiastically, like children who were left behind to be bullied. They memorized all the names of their enemies and waited for the adults at home to come back, so that they could take revenge. However, after being joked around by the two of them, everyone's depressed mood suddenly became a lot more relaxed, as if the old drunkard was really going to return soon. Not only did they look forward to the old drunkard's return, but they also planned what the old drunkard was going to do when he came back. Beat people, beat people, beat people again. Their schedule was very full. How's my mother's health? Fang Yan asked aloud. When he was away from home, Fang Yan was most worried about his mother, Luwan's health. During the 3 years of mourning in Swallow Dock, Luwan's performance was far stronger than Fang Yan's. Ever since she sent Fang Yixing away, she returned to her previous state of life. She read and wrote, drank tea in the morning, and took a walk at dusk. The difference was that she opened up 2 vegetable plots next to Fang Yixing's grave. Every day, she would go over to take care of it and talk to Fang Yixing's tombstone for a while. Her sadness was just right, and her nostalgia was buried deep in her heart. Not only that, she also comforted Fang Yan from time to time, so that he wouldn't have to bear any psychological pressure. Luwan told Fang Yan that it was a great blessing and opportunity for the two of them to become father and son. It was so for Fang Yan, and so for Fang Yixing. As a father, Fang Yixing did his best. As a son, Fang Yan was also respectful and filial. They didn't owe each other anything. It was just that their luck was too short, their fate was too shallow, and the time they spent together was too little. Fang Yan didn't tell her that he stayed in Swallow Dock to accompany his father, and also to wait for those people to appear again. He didn't want her to worry, because Fang Yan knew that she couldn't lose another family member. Now Fang Yan was in Huaqing, but he still called back every day to check on her. Every time Fang Yan asked, Luwan would say that she was fine, and asked Fang Yan not to worry about her. It was exactly the same reaction as all the other mothers in the world who received a call from their children. However, whether she was living well or not, only the people around her would know, right? My mother is very good, Fang Yingying said. She has a good appetite. She eats a small bowl of rice every meal, drinks a pot of flower tea every day, goes to the vegetable garden every morning, and recently she has been learning how to draw. She doesn't use her own study now, but the previous study of the master of the family. Fang Yan nodded and said, She told me to use it if I like it. There are too many traces in the study, and it's good to recall them when you have nothing to do. I'm not afraid of being hurt, but I'm afraid of feeling lonely and helpless. Missy used to drink a pot of flower tea with my mother every day, but recently she didn't go to the study because she was in seclusion. Fang Yan smiled and said, She and my mother should get along well, right? It's strange. When other people come to visit my mother, it's usually the guest talking, and my mother listening. But when Miss Yi comes, it's always my mother talking, and Miss Yi listening. What's that saying again? Everything has its vanquisher. Slap. Fang Yan slapped Fang Yingying's head and said, What do you mean by everything has its vanquisher? Do you know how to talk? Exactly. This is the expression of my mother and my future mother's love for each other. How can you say, everything has its vanquisher? Fong Haohan added sharply. That's my mother's love for my future mother. Fong Yingying touched his head with a face full of grievance. After a period of rest, the wound on Lu Chaoga's palm had healed, and the knife mark on her neck had completely disappeared. The golden chrysalis muscle-nourishing powder developed by Qin Luo, the medical king of the generation, was indeed extraordinary. Lu Chaoga began to take care of the affairs of Chaoyan Technology Group again. In other words, when Fang Yan and Du Qing joined forces to launch a counterattack against Jiang Junling, she had already stood up and become the sharp knife that pierced their hearts. After breakfast, Lu Chaoga was going to take Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan to work at Chaoyan Technology. Fang Yan transferred Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan out of Swallow Dock to protect the safety of Lu Chaoga and Du Qing. Fang Yan knew that Jiang Junling was guarding Huaqing, and both sides were deploying troops and making strange moves. Lu Chaoga was protected by the experts sent by the Qin family, but in Fang Yan's opinion, the defensive strength was still a little too weak. If the people who kidnapped Lu Chaoga last time weren't Qiang Longtan and Jiang Fengxing, but Jiang Junling personally, with the strength of the strange people around him, it would be very difficult for him to rescue Lu Chaoga. Fang Yan was also worried about Du Qing. Du Qing was the underground king of Huaqing, and logically speaking, there was no need to worry about his safety. However, Qing Hong had just experienced an internal conflict, and Jiang Junling was even more afraid of Du Qing, the local tyrant, and hated him to the bone. If he wanted to first get rid of this important general in front of Fang Yan, it would be very difficult for Du Qing to escape. Fang Yan planned to arrange for Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan to stay by Lu Chaoga and Du Qing's side respectively. If they were to keep an eye on her, it should be good for her to protect herself. Last night, Fang Yan had already told the heroes about his arrangements, so Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan tried to please Lu Chaoga in every possible way since early in the morning. They all hoped to stay by Lu Chaoga's side. Who wouldn't want to work by the side of a beauty? Moreover, it was a beauty that he was more familiar with. Sister Lu, no matter what, I'm going to stay by your side. I, Fang Yingying, don't have any other abilities, but I do have a body full of fat. If you encounter danger, this body of fat will always be in front of you. It can't be pierced by knives, and it can't be broken by bullets. I'll guarantee Sister Lu's safety. Fang Yingying patted his chest hard and said with a serious expression, You don't have any other abilities, but you're good at bragging. Fang Haohan immediately ridiculed him from the side. So what if I have a body full of fat? Other than moving slower, what else can it do? You still have the face to say that your fat can't be pierced by knives or bullets. Let me stab you with a knife and see? Let me try shooting you? Fang Haohan, other than eating glass, what else can you do? Do you know that this illness of yours will ruin big things? Sister Lu often has to go to some important events, and often meet some important people. They are talking about business worth tens of billions, and you pick up a glass cup and eat it noisily. Those who know you will know that you're sick and need to be treated. Those who don't know you will think that you're crazy. Miss Lu needs an ace bodyguard with a good image and temperament, like me and Qining. If you go, you'll bring down Miss Lu's status. Du Qing is more suitable for you. He's the boss of a gang. When he's negotiating with people, you can pick up a beer bottle and eat it noisily. Don't you look majestic and prestigious? Who would dare to object to his conditions? Fang Yan glanced at Lu Chaoga and said, What's the name of Du Qing's daughter? I think she's called Liya. Lu Chaoga immediately understood Fang Yan's meaning and said, She's young, beautiful, and has outstanding abilities. She's the future successor of Green Cloud Group. Last time, Boss Du said that he wanted me to help her find a young and talented man to be her son-in-law. Yesterday he even called me to urge me to ask if I found a suitable candidate. For such an important matter. How can I find a suitable candidate in such a short time? Liya? Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan's eyes immediately lit up. There should be information about her on the internet. You can search for it. Fang Yan said. Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan quickly took out their phones to search. When they saw Liya's photo, their eyes were about to spit fire. Fang Yingying beat his chest hard and said, Sis, look, a young and talented man is right in front of you. There's no need to look, I'm the right person. Plop. Fong Haohan directly knelt in front of Lu Chaoga. When he raised his head, Fong Haohan's eyes were already filled with tears. I didn't have parents since I was young. Fortunately, Master picked us up from the outside. Otherwise, I would have definitely gone astray and become a hooligan who would harm society. My body is sick, and I have to eat glass for no reason. I'm ugly. I'm not even as good as Fong Yingying. Fong Yingying grinned. Fong Haohan rarely took the initiative to praise himself. As he laughed, his expression froze. He shouted at Fong Haohan. Fong Haohan, what do you mean by you're not even as ugly as me? Fong Haohan hugged Lu Chaoga's calf and said, I'm already so old, but I've never been in love. Other than you, no girl has ever smiled at me. Fong Yingying has a female police officer. He is a man who is loyal to his feelings and will not change easily. But where is my love? Sis, I want to fall in love. Chapter 539. Fong Haohan was sent to Duqing as he wished, and Fong Yingying was taken to Chaoyan Technology by Lu Chaoga. Fong Yingying was full of grievances, but he was a man who was serious and loyal to his feelings. Since he had fallen in love with Sun Li before, he must persist in his feelings. He didn't even have a chance to refute. Fong Yan drove to school for work. The security guard was doing the same regular and leisurely work as before, checking the post. Fong Yan didn't stand at the school gate to check the post. Instead, he sat in the security booth, made a cup of tea and read the newspaper. Life at school was very comfortable and leisurely. It was suitable for Fong Yan's state of mind to rest and relax at this time. 3 years ago, the heart of Tai Chi made a breakthrough. Fong Yan defeated Qianya Military Department and became a new star in the martial arts world. Because his father, Fong Yixing, died in the battle, Fong Yan's body was full of hostility, and the heart of Tai Chi was covered in dust. In the past 3 years, the heart of Tai Chi didn't make any progress or show signs of another breakthrough. Fong Yan wanted to know what the heart of Tai Chi would be like after another breakthrough. Fong Yan wanted to know what the heart of Tai Chi would be like after another breakthrough. The way of Tai Chi was to let nature take its course. The more anxious you were, the more you would retreat. The reason why Yi Ro could make another breakthrough so quickly was also related to her mentality of having no desires. Yi Ro could have no desires, but could Fong Yan also have no desires? Yi Ro believed in martial arts wholeheartedly, while Fong Yan pursued the great power that the breakthrough of martial arts would bring to him. Only with power could he protect himself and avenge his father. Stay calm. Fong Yan comforted himself countless times in his heart. When he was in Swallow Dock, facing his father's tombstone and the traces left by his father, it was difficult for him to maintain this kind of calmness. However, he could do it in school. This was a school, a place where teachers taught and educated people, a place where students absorbed nutrition and rich knowledge. This was a sacred place, so sacred that it couldn't be tarnished and destroyed by the scheming, violence, and cruelty outside. At least, that was what Fong Yan thought. Baldy walked over with a teacup in his hand and said, There's nothing much to do here. You can take a walk around the school. The scenery at the Sparrow River is not bad. Ever since he saw Fong Yan bring his own teacup to make a cup of hot tea every day, Baldy also developed the habit of holding a teacup at work every day. He would take a sip from time to time when he was talking to others. This kind of behavior made him feel very cultured. Later, this habit became a trend, and everyone in the security office of Rosefinch Secondary came to work with a cup of tea. If someone came to the security office to work, they would often see such a scene. Baldy took a sip of tea from his teacup and said, There are a few more brats who are late today. Wang Chong also took a sip of tea and said, I've written down all their names. I'll put up a notice in a while. It's time to teach these brats a lesson. Li Daong raised his head and gulped down a big mouthful of tea. He said, What are we eating tonight? Fish with pickled cabbage and chili? I think the dried pig intestines from second brother Lu's family are not bad. Pooh. Li Daong, who are you pooing? I'm not pooing anyone. The tea got stuck in my throat. Fong Yan glanced at Baldy and said, Did I affect your performance again? Look at what you're saying. I'm just afraid that you'll be bored sitting here. Baldy laughed and said, I know you cultured people like to see these mountains and rivers, so I mentioned it. If you don't like it, just pretend I didn't say it. Fang Yan stood up and said, then I'll go and take a look. Go. I'll call you if there's anything. Baldy said, but nothing will happen. What can happen to our security office? Since you came, there's not even a hoodlum at the school gate. You say, if this goes on, will Principal Zhong remove our security office? Hasn't he been cutting the school's expenses recently? You think too much. Fang Yan said snappily. Zhong Dai was indeed cutting down on expenses recently, but it was all for some unnecessary research projects. No matter how much he cut, he wouldn't cut the security office. Zhong Dai and Fang Yan had the same idea. The safety of the students must be absolutely the first priority. It's good to hear that. It seems that I really thought too much. Baldy said slyly. He asked that stupid question just to sound out Fang Yan's mouth. If Fang Yan said he wouldn't remove it, then he definitely wouldn't remove it. Fang Yan stood up and walked into the depths of the school. The Sparrow River flowed quietly, and the surface of the lake was covered with a layer of gold. The Sparrow Bridge was still there, becoming the bridge that connected the two sides. Fang Yan strolled along the river. The trees were dense, the grass was long, and the soil exuded an alluring fragrance. The scenery was beautiful, and it made people feel relaxed and happy. Seeing that there was no one around, Fang Yan stood by the side of the Sparrow River and put on a Tai Chi stance, preparing to do a round of Tai Chi focused on the mind and not the routine. The body moved at will, which was why the heart of Tai Chi appeared. Concentrating, the Dantian fire ignited. Whatever he thought of, he would go wherever he thought of. His Tai Chi plum blossom steps produced plum blossoms in 3 steps, and his Tai Chi palm became the wind. He wore a green robe and had a jade-like face. When he was quiet, he was like a crane playing in the water. When he was heavy, he was like a roaring dragon. He lifted something heavy as if it were light, and something light as if it were heavy. He was sometimes fast and sometimes slow, sometimes hidden and sometimes visible. All his skills were now under the early morning sun. What a natural Tai Chi! A loud shout came. Fang Yan stopped and turned around. He saw the excited Ho Zhendong, the martial arts fanatic, standing not far away and sizing him up. Why are you here? Fang Yan asked. Fang Yan didn't ask how he got in. With the martial arts fanatic Ho Zhendong's cultivation, he could even enter and exit within the red walls, let alone a school. Baldy and the others could stop the gangsters and ruffians, but they couldn't stop an expert from the Jianghu. They probably didn't even know that a martial arts fanatic had entered, right? I'm here to thank you in person, the martial arts fanatic said with a smile. Thank you? Fang Yan asked, puzzled. He didn't remember doing any favors for the martial arts fanatic. If possible, he wished that he had never met this maniac. You are my enlightened master, the martial arts fanatic said, looking at Fang Yan with a smile. I've loved martial arts all my life, and I like to see everything clearly. I've seen fists, palms, knives, spears, swords, rods, Shaolin and Wudong. I've wandered around and experienced hundreds of battles. Some have narrowly escaped death, and some have easily defeated the enemy. In the end, I got the word fanatic. Only when you love to the extreme can you become a fanatic. I like to be called martial arts fanatic. However, it was also because he was too obsessed that he went astray. Wanting to understand everything would only make people more and more confused. I want to find an answer to every question, but many questions have no answer. I open my eyes wide to observe the mountains and rivers, but I can't see the mountains and rivers in front of me clearly. Recently, I've been feeling upset and confused. I always feel that there's something I don't understand, but I can't find out what the problem is. By chance, I met you by the Pearl River, and on a whim, I came up with a question to test you. I didn't expect that you would give me such a surprising answer. Fang Yan looked at the martial arts fanatic and said, Is this the reason you thanked me? Because there's no solution, so there's no need for a solution. Because there's no answer, so there's no need for an answer. The martial arts fanatic laughed and said, This is what your little girlfriend told me. Your way of solving problems let me find a new way of thinking. Standing in your way of thinking and observing myself, I learn not to look. I don't look at mountains, water, or anything in the world. I don't look for it, I just chase it. In this way, sitting and observing myself, I understand myself better. The biggest enemy of mankind is themselves. It's just that too many people don't understand this. Fang Yan nodded with a smile and said, "Congratulations." For a martial arts fanatic, the flash of inspiration and understanding of ideas were more joyful than the happy event of the wedding night or the passing of the exam. Fang Yan was also a martial artist, and he was also ecstatic when he realized the heart of Tai Chi when the heart of Tai Chi died. He was also sad and depressed, and it was difficult for him to face his family and himself. If someone could help him break through the heart of Tai Chi again, he would even be willing to marry. If the person was a beautiful woman. This is a big event in my life. So, I have to come here personally to thank you. I will remember this kindness for the time being, and I will return it in the future. You don't have to remember the kindness. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, "At that time, I just didn't want to trouble you, so I solved your fairy flowers. As for the enlightenment you gained from my way of solving problems, it's also your own experience and good fortune. And it has nothing to do with me. If you really want to thank me, just don't fight with me anymore." The martial arts fanatic looked at Fang Yan expectantly and said, "The second purpose of this trip is to challenge you. You still want to fight?" Fang Yan's face became bitter. "I said last time, I'm no match for you. No, you're the most talented young man I've ever seen." The martial arts fanatic said, "If I don't fight with you to my heart's content, I won't be able to eat or sleep well, and my thoughts will be difficult again. In the end, I may regret it for the rest of my life. I don't want to fight," Fang Yan said. "No one can refuse the opponent I choose." The martial arts fanatic said with a firm expression, "Or we can fight in this school. Fight now." "Are you crazy?" Fang Yan was furious. "The school is full of students. If they see us fighting, do you want to tear this school down?" Rosefinch Secondary was also Fang Yan's school, and he couldn't bear to see this martial arts fanatic go crazy and tear down a good school into a garbage dump. "So, I'm willing to give you another choice," the martial arts fanatic said seriously. He took out a piece of white paper from his pocket and handed it to Fang Yan seriously, saying, "This is my letter of challenge. In 3 days, I'll wait for you at the top of One Sword Peak. I want to see how much you've improved compared to 3 years ago." Chapter 540. Fang Yan didn't take the paper from the martial addict and said, "I already said I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight with you, and I can't beat you. How can you be like this? I'm not related to you at all. What right do you have to force me? Don't you know you're being very annoying?" The martial addict opened his mouth and laughed. His smile was neither warm nor pleasant. His eyes couldn't even be found. He spoke with a proud expression. "I don't care if other people like it or not. That has nothing to do with me. I only want someone to fight with me. I like you, so you have to fight with me. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. I'm very busy. I won't go to the One Sword Peak," Fang Yan said firmly, not wanting to give him even the slightest bit of hope. "I'm working right now. I can't chat with you anymore." Saying so, Fang Yan turned around and left. "Fang Yan!" Ho Zhendong shouted from behind. Fang Yan turned around to look at Ho Zhendong and asked, "Senior martial addict, is there anything else? I saw you practicing Tai Chi just now, although it was unintentional. I still managed to see through it in advance." The martial addict smirked. "If that's the case, the One Sword Peak tournament in 3 days will be very unfair to you. Boy, watch carefully." The martial addict Ho's eyes trembled a bit, then raised his right foot and stomped down. Pow! A dull sound was heard. The earth didn't give birth to lightning. The Rosefinch River didn't have any waves. Not even dust was kicked up under his feet. The flowers were still flowers. The trees were still trees. The grass was still swaying. The green leaves were still swaying with the wind. It was as if nothing had happened. As if there were no supernatural phenomena like when a peerless master used his ultimate skill. But Fang Yan knew that things weren't that simple. The martial addict purposely told him to stop and watch carefully. If he only saw him stomp his foot, then he wouldn't be a martial addict, but an idiot. The martial addict saw Fang Yan practicing Tai Chi just now. If he wanted to show his fairness, he would have to show his true abilities. Sure enough, Fang Yan's guess was correct. Whoosh! On a big tree next to Fang Yan, a leaf swayed and fell. Fang Yan stretched out his hand and let the leaf fall into his palm. The lush green leaves turned yellow and withered when they landed on Fang Yan's palm. At the same time that the leaves turned from green to yellow, the tree with thick branches also changed. First, the leaves fell off crazily, as if they were swept away by a gale. Then, the originally sturdy tree branches also fell, as if an invisible giant axe was quickly chopping them off. Branches of different sizes fell to the ground, making crackling noises. Immediately after that, the trunk of the big tree also began to turn from green to yellow. After its vitality disappeared, the trunk burst open and fell to the ground with a boom, turning into a pile of wood waste. This scene was too fresh and too mysterious. Fang Yan watched helplessly as the first leaf fell. He watched helplessly as the branches broke. He watched helplessly as the big tree collapsed. It was as if he was watching a magnificent magic show, a wonderful magic trick. Hitting the cow across the mountain, Fang Yan murmured. When we read martial arts novels, we often see the move hitting the cow across the mountain. Because the name of the move had the word cow in it, many people mistakenly thought that the power of this move was ordinary. If it was a name like Nine Yang Divine Art or Heaven and Earth Great Shift, it would be obvious that it was the world's top kung fu. Shouldn't hitting the cow across the mountain be a skill that even the loafers in the neighboring village could use? You can't judge a book by its cover, and it was the same with kung fu. Even if it was understood from the literal meaning, being able to kill a cow across the mountain. This kind of kung fu could be called a miracle, right? Borrowing force to exert force. Using 4 tails to move 1,000 taels of gold. This was already a profound kung fu in the inner Jianghu. If one could borrow force to transfer qi, it would be like how the physician King Qin Luo used a silver needle to perform the unpredictable divine Tai needle. That was also a beginner version of hitting the cow across the mountain. To be able to kill a tree 2 meters away from him with just a stomp of his foot like the martial fanatic did, this kind of hitting a cow across a mountain was no longer the hitting a cow across a mountain that the outside world knew about, but it was an upgraded version of their technique. If the target of his force just now was Fang Yan, what kind of consequences would there be? A real expert should have this kind of ability to turn something rotten into something magical. Using falling leaves as swords, using flying petals to hurt people, and even ordinary moves could bring out extraordinary power. The martial fanatic belonged to this kind of person, and this was also the reason why he was praised as Wuxia's 7 fanatics. Hitting the cow across the mountain. Oldwood Meeting Spring. The sea of martial arts was boundless, but the path of seeking Tao was firm and long. When Fang Yan woke up from his deep thoughts, the martial fanatic Hou Zhendong in front of him had already disappeared. On another tree hung a letter of challenge from the martial fanatic to Fang Yan. Fang Yan walked over and took down the letter of challenge. The calligraphy on it was extremely ugly. I heard that you are a young hero with great achievements in martial arts. I hope to have a duel with you. I will accompany you when you eat. I will watch over you when you sleep. I will follow you when you work. I will send you home. 3 days later, I will respectfully wait for you at the summit of One Sword Peak. Unknown but unknown. Fang Yan was dumbfounded. What kind of *T challenge is this? It's clearly a shameless threatening letter, okay? What does I will accompany you when you eat? I will accompany you when you sleep. I will watch over you when you work. I will follow you home. Isn't it just telling Fang Yan that if he doesn't duel with me, I will be like a follower around him, so that he can't do anything or say anything? Fang Yan really felt a headache coming on. If there was a character like the martial fanatic following him all day, it would really be a troublesome thing. You can't drive him away, he won't scold him, and beating him up is exactly what he wants. How much red packet did the 7 fanatics of Wuxia receive from him? Why did they praise this kind of rogue to such a high position? Fang Yan rolled up the letter of challenge in his hand, and then with a flick of his finger, it flew into the water of the Rosefinch River. The paper was soaked by the river water, and then slowly dispersed and sank to the bottom of the river. I won't fight. Fang Yan made up his mind. When Fang Yan crossed the Rosefinch Bridge and was about to return to the security office, he saw that there were 2 groups of students confronting each other in the woods by the Rosefinch River. Students are young and impetuous, and quarrels and fights are common. But because of the school's strict rules, the majority of students resolve their small conflicts outside of school. So, don't leave after school, or see you in the school woods has become a threat that the students often say. It's really rare to see two groups of people collide on campus, especially after Zhong Dei became the principal of the school. This kind of thing is extremely rare. One side only has 2 students, the other side has 5 or 6 students. It was obvious that the side with more people had surrounded the side with fewer people, blocking people. This is also something that students often do. A tall boy stood in front of the group. His eyes fiercely stared at the boy wearing glasses in front of him, and said, "Li Xiaoqiao, I'm warning you, don't have any ideas about Wang Yan. She is the woman I like." Mature men intelligently call the woman they like girl. Only those children who haven't grown up yet will call their boyfriend or girlfriend my man, or my woman. She is my girlfriend, Li Xiaoqiao retorted. Even though he knew that the other side has more people, and his only teammate is still trembling and hiding behind him, but the young man's face and dignity made him not willing to back down. Just because you say it's your girlfriend, then it's your girlfriend? The tall boy, very dissatisfied, said. I also said she is my wife. Does that mean other men can't chase her? She has always been my girlfriend. Li Xiaoqiao's eyes were red, but his voice was still firm. She's not your girlfriend. She's just with you for the time being. The tall boy tried to argue. Today I came to find you to talk about this matter. Li Xiaoqiao, take the initiative to break up with Wang Yan. Why? Aren't you just asking nonsense? Didn't I just say it because I like her? The tall boy was clearly a bit impatient. Kid, is there something wrong with your head? I already said it so clearly. Why are you still asking so many questions? Impossible, Li Xiaoqiao stubbornly said. The one Wang Yan likes is me. I also like Wang Yan. I will not break up with her. Li Xiaoqiao, there's no point in saying that, the tall boy said. We're all classmates, don't force me to hit you. If you hit me, I'll tell the teacher. If you tell the teacher, I'll hit you every time I see you. If you hit me even once, I'll tell the teacher, the school will expel you. TCH, you think the school is run by you? You can expel me just because you say so? Li Xiaoqiao, you know I have a lot of friends outside of the school. If they hit you, the school won't be able to find out that I sent people to hit you, right? Do you think anyone will believe you? Lu Yong, you're bullying people. So what if I'm bullying you? No one can be sure what kind of idiotic things you said or did when you were young. Fang Yan shook his head, walked out of the forest, and spoke to the 2 groups of students. Both of you, come with me to the security office. Lu Yong didn't expect there to be someone else in the forest, looked at Fang Yan for a bit and asked, Who are you? I'm the security officer. Fang Yan smiled and answered, Let's go, we'll go to the security office and solve your relationship problems together. Lu Yong hasn't seen Fang Yan before, so he asked his friends in a low voice, You've seen him before? I've seen him patrolling the school gate, a young fatso boy whispered. Lu Yong finally believed him, smiled at Fang Yan and said, We're just joking, there's no need to go to the security office, right? Right, we still have class by. Saying so, Lu Yong turned around, wanting to run away. Fang Yan grabbed Lu Yong's neck and said, I think you're missing a love counselor. I happen to be quite good at this. Chapter 541. Security Office. Fang Yan looked at the students standing in front of him and said, Tell me what's going on. Li Xiaoqiao glanced at Fang Yan and lowered his head without saying anything. Lu Yong said with a smile, Teacher, we were just joking. Is it, Li Xiaoqiao? There were countless high school students who fell in love, but the school had a rule that forbade relationships. Regardless of whether it was Li Xiaoqiao, who was in the right in this conflict, or Lu Yong, who was not in the right, they did not want their relationship to be known or involved by the school. It would be even worse if they were asked to go back and call their parents. Li Xiaoqiao didn't want to become Lu Yong's puppet, but he also didn't want the school's teachers or parents to know that he was in a relationship with his classmate, so he said in a deep voice, We were just joking. It's nothing. Fang Yan looked at Li Xiaoqiao and said, I know what you are worried about. But have you ever thought about it? If I pretend to believe that nothing happened between the 2 of you, After you walk out of my place, he will once again bring people to block you and separate you from your girlfriend. Your girlfriend's name is Wang Yan? What will you do then? If he agreed, it would seem that he was too irresponsible and spineless. If he refused, he and his friends might beat him up. Are you willing to accept such an outcome? Teacher. Lu Yong still wanted to explain. Fang Yan looked at him sharply and said, Lu Yong, I saw it all. Are you going to lie to my face? Li Xiaoqiao hesitated for a long time, then finally said, I'm in love with Class 9's Wang Yan. He forced me and Wang Yan to separate. Li Xiaoqiao, you idiot. Lu Yong cursed. If I die, you won't be able to escape either. Fang Yan looked at Lu Yong and asked, Is that so? Lu Yong and Fang Yan looked at each other for a while before saying helplessly, Yes. Fang Yan nodded and asked, Why did you separate Li Xiaoqiao from his girlfriend? Because I like Wang Yan. Because you like Wang Yan, you want to separate Li Xiaoqiao and Wang Yan? Fang Yan asked. Young people's views on love were so simple and direct. Because I like this person, so you can't be with this person. Because you like a dress, somebody else has to take it off. Because you like a sports car, others have to give up their sports cars. Because you like this earth, others have to move to Mars. Is that it? That's different. Lu Yong argued. Which aspect is different? Clothes are clothes, sports cars are sports cars, they're different from girlfriends. You mean I can't give you the clothes or the sports car, but I can give you the girlfriend? From what you know, you can't even give up clothes and sports cars. Why do you think you can give up your girlfriend? That's not what I meant. I don't think I can sell my girlfriend. Then what did you do to Li Xiaoqiao mean? I just feel that Wang Yan and I are more suited for each other. What if after Wang Yan gets together with you, someone feels that he and Wang Yan are more suitable and wants you to break up with her? I fought him with all my might. Look, if you can't do it yourself, how can you expect someone else to do it? Fang Yan asked with a smile. Lu Yong looked at Li Xiaoqiao and said with an embarrassed expression, This is my fault. Li Xiaoqiao, I'm sorry. Li Xiaoqiao didn't expect Lu Yong to apologize to him. Slightly surprised, he smiled and said, It's fine. It's all in the past anyway. Fang Yan looked at Lu Yong and asked, Have you given up yet? Lu Yong looked at Fang Yan with a strange expression and said, Teacher. Don't teachers forbid students from dating? How did I openly discuss this issue with you guys? That's right, Lu Yong nodded. If other teachers find out who's in a relationship, they'll either pull you to the office to scold you, or ask you to write a self-reflection letter. Is it useful? Fang Yan asked. What? If a teacher pulls you to the office to scold you, ask you to write a self-reflection letter, or ask your parents to come, can you guarantee that you won't be in a relationship again? I don't think so. Lu Yong's face turned red and said, This kind of thing. How can it be broken just like that? Isn't it too embarrassing? Then what do you think now? I think it's wrong to separate Li Xiaoqiao from his girlfriend. I will compete fairly with him in the future. Lu Yong said. Fang Yan nodded and said, You can go back to class. Lu Yong looked at Fang Yan with a puzzled face and said, Can I really go? You still want to stay? No. Lu Yong waved his hand and said, You won't tell our monitor about this, will you? Who's your monitor? Haha, it's okay. Lu Yong hurriedly led his friends to escape. Lu Yong felt that it was too strange. Didn't the security guards like to tell things to the class teacher? How come this security guard didn't say a word and let me go back to class as if nothing happened? After Lu Yong left, Fang Yan glanced at the student standing next to Li Xiaoqiao and said, You also go back to class. Thank you, teacher. The boy was relieved. He bowed to Fang Yan, and then ran away without looking back. At this time, there were only two people in the security room, Fang Yan and Li Xiaoqiao. How does it feel to be in love? Fang Yan looked at Li Xiaoqiao and asked. Teacher. Li Xiaoqiao's expression was coy. He was not used to talking about love affairs with his teacher. Every day, I have to make several phone calls, send countless messages every day, and frequently pass small notes in class. I want to buy delicious food for her. I want to bring her to a good cafe. I want to be with her all the time. I can't help but want to smile when I think of her. I feel very sweet. Li Xiaoqiao looked at Fang Yan with his mouth wide open. How does this guy know everything? I've also had the same experience. Fang Yan said with a smile. When he fell in love with Phoenix, it was the same feeling. He wanted to give her the best things in the world, as long as she gave him a smile. Li Xiaoqiao was relieved. He blushed and said, I don't know what happened, I just liked her all of a sudden. I know this isn't good, but I don't know what to do about it. Why do you think this isn't good? Fang Yan asked. Li Xiaoqiao was stunned for a while, then said, The school forbids love. The teacher also said it would affect our studies. Do you think it's affecting your studies? No, Li Xiaoqiao said. Every time I take an exam, I've always been first in class in the past and the future. What about Wang Yan? Her academic performance has never been very good. If your love doesn't affect your studies, not only does it not affect you, but you can also encourage each other and improve together. Would the teacher still use this reason to stop you? Li Xiaoqiao blankly looked at Fang Yan and said, Teacher, what do you mean? Fang Yan smiled and said, Actually, I don't mean anything. You're no longer a child, you already have your own thoughts. If we tell you what you must do or what you can't do, you'll have a rebellious mentality instead. I just want to tell you that you have to think carefully before you do anything. If you feel that what you're doing is right, that it's beneficial to your life and future, then seriously don't let them down. Don't let others down, and especially don't let yourself down. Li Xiaoqiao thoughtfully looked at Fang Yan. I don't expect you to understand in an instant, but you still have a lot of time to think about it. Fang Yan waved his hand and said, Go back to class. Li Xiaoqiao bowed deeply to Fang Yan and said, Thank you, teacher. I understand what I should do. When Fang Yan came out of the office, he just happened to see Baldy running in from outside. Baldy glanced inside the office and said, Where are those bastards? What bastards? Fang Yan asked. They said you brought a group of students to the office. Did those bastards get into a fight again? Baldy asked with concern. Is everything okay? Nothing, Fang Yan said. I asked them to investigate something, and they've already gone back to class. That's good. Baldy was relieved. I'm just afraid of the students fighting. They're all hot-tempered kids. They won't hold back even the slightest bit. By the way, are you okay today? What's wrong? Fang Yan looked at Baldy cautiously and asked. It's nothing, it's just that. Someone wants to see you. Fang Yan thought for a bit and asked. Is it Su Qi? I've talked to that girl before and I think she's not bad. Baldy. But I've already told her very clearly that Mr. Fang already has a girlfriend, and that she shouldn't have any delusions, and that she should study hard and improve every day. Make herself better so that she can find a better partner in the future. Fang Yan smiled and said, Just do your job. My job is to ensure the safety of the students and teachers in the school, Baldy said. Not just personal safety, but also emotional safety. Fang Yan felt that Baldy had the potential to become a philosopher. Mr. Fang, let's go eat hot pot after work? Baldy pulled Fang Yan's arm and said, We'll go Dutch. I won't take advantage of you. After work, Fang Yan drove back and found a black Mercedes-Benz following him. Fang Yan turned the car to the side of Swan Lake, and the black Mercedes-Benz followed. The car window rolled down and a woman with delicate features looked at Fang Yan and said, Fang Yan, buy me a drink. Chapter 542. The Mercedes-Benz and BMW were very close to each other, so Fang Yan was not far from the woman. Fang Yan looked at this woman who was definitely not supposed to appear here, and say such words to him with a puzzled expression. He asked, Did you find the wrong person? I am not looking for the wrong person. The person I am looking for is you. Fang Yan. Jiang Shangxin confirmed her stance once again as she looked into Fang Yan's eyes with an extremely determined gaze. Treat me to a drink. Why? Fang Yan asked. Why me? Fang Yan felt that this woman was too weird. Why him? She was the daughter of the Jiang family. If she wanted to drink, she should look for someone from the Jiang family. Jiang Junling or someone else from the Jiang family. She was Jiang Zhulio's woman. If she wanted to drink, she should look for her husband, Jiang Zhulu, or someone else who was close to her. Why him? Wasn't she clear enough? She was the thorn in Jiang Junling's side, the thorn in Jiang Zhuliu's flesh, and the mortal enemy of the Jiang family and the Jiang family. If Fang Yan's guess was right, they would push the blame for the tragic deaths of Feng Xing and Shang Xin's father on him. Why did she ask the enemy who killed her father to treat her to a drink? Fang Yan's first reaction was that this was a conspiracy, a trap, and a honey trap. Fang Yan scoffed at this behavior. Who did they think he was? Was he the kind of man who would be easily tempted by beauty? He looked at Jiang Shangxin's pretty face seriously. As he was taller than Jiang Shangxin and his eyes were very bright, he was able to see the large patch of snow white at the collar of Jiang Shangxin's white satin shirt. Gulp, gulp, Fang Yan swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva and felt a little thirsty. Because I couldn't find anyone else, Jiang Shangxin said. Her expression was gloomy and her voice was low. She looked like a pitiful child who had been wronged but couldn't voice it out. Fang Yan had not expected her to give such an answer. Based on her understanding of Jiang Shangxin, she was a very proud girl. To make a proud person admit that he wanted to drink, but couldn't find anyone else. It seemed that this was indeed a well-designed honey trap. Fang Yan was too angry. He didn't expect his opponent to be so insidious and cunning. He actually used such a despicable and wretched method. Who did they think they were? Fang Yan decided to challenge his weakness. As such, Fang Yan looked at Jiang Shangxin and said, I'm fine with tea, but I'm not familiar with bars. Follow me, Jiang Shangxin said. As she spoke, she had already rolled up the window. Then he started the car and led the way. Fang Yan's fingers tapped on the steering wheel, and his body softly leaned against the leather seat. With a faint smile on his face he said, How interesting. Seeing that the black Mercedes-Benz was about to leave his sight, Fang Yan stepped on the accelerator, and the car rushed toward the Mercedes-Benz in front like a stallion in heat. The King Bar. Jiang Shangxin parked the car at the entrance of the bar and stood there, waiting for Fang Yan to arrive. Fang Yan parked the car. Just as he got out of the car, Jiang Shangxin took the initiative to hug his arm. A strong fragrance wafted over. It was a very seductive perfume that Jiang Shangxin used. Fang Yan's sense of smell was very sensitive. He knew that this was not just a simple perfume, but also the natural body fragrance of a mature woman. When the two fragrances mixed together, it gave one an impulse to let one's imagination run wild. Furthermore, Jiang Shangxin was wearing a mid-sleeved shirt. When she hugged Fang Yan, a small part of her arm was in close contact with Fang Yan's body. When they were walking, their bodies would touch from time to time. As long as Fang Yan exerted a little force, he would be able to knead her into his body. Such a charming little beauty took the initiative to approach him without any precaution. Even if Fang Yan had the ability to remain calm and composed, he still felt a sense of defeat. He was afraid that he would accidentally turn into a big bad wolf and eat the little white rabbit in front of him. What was worse was that this woman was Jiang Zhuliu's wife. Damn it! Why did he feel so crazy and excited when he thought of this? Fang Yan dodged to the side and said, Isn't this a little inappropriate? Everyone is like this. Jiang Shangxin held Fang Yan's arm and walked straight into the bar, not caring about Fang Yan's feelings at all. You didn't approach me on purpose to get Jiang Zhulu to catch you in the act, right? Fang Yan asked worriedly. A sarcastic smile appeared on Jiang Shangxin's face, and she said, Fang Yan, you don't have to test him anymore. Given Jiang Zhuliu's character, he would pretend not to know even if he knew that I rolled around in bed with another man. What's the point of catching him in the act? Exposing his wife's affair with another man, and letting more people know about it, then losing his dignity. Do you think Jiang Zhulu would do such a stupid thing? Fang Yan thought about it and said, Indeed he wouldn't. This doesn't fit his style. Would you? Jiang Shangxin asked. My wife wouldn't betray me, Fang Yan said. You are really confident. Whoever snatches a good husband like me would cover their mouth and secretly laugh. Every 1st and 15th day of the lunar month, they would offer more incense to Guanyin Bodhisattva. It was still early, and there weren't many people in the bar. American rock music was playing in the bar, but it wasn't as violent and crazy as it was during the climax of the night. Fang Yan thought that Jiang Shangxin would bring him to the lobby of the bar, or find a seat at the bar counter. Unexpectedly, Jiang Shangxin didn't enter the interior of the bar, but directly entered a passage at the side. There was an elevator at the end of the passage, and there were 2 bodyguards in black waiting at the door. When the 2 of them walked over, the bodyguards in black looked at them warily. Jiang Shangxin took out a black card from her pocket, and the bodyguard in black bowed deeply when he saw it. The other bodyguard immediately turned around and pressed the elevator button, and the door of the elevator opened to them very quickly. While Fang Yan was still thinking about where the elevator was going to take them, Jiang Shangxin had already pulled Fang Yan's arm into the elevator. Fang Yan's foot stepped on the elevator, and the door couldn't close, so it sounded an alarm. Jiang Shangxin turned around and looked at Fang Yan. With a flirtatious smile in her eyes, she said, "Are you afraid?" "Where to?" "Fang Yan, I thought you're not afraid of anything." "I am afraid of death," Fang Yan said. Jiang Shangxin chuckled and said, "I am afraid of death too, so I asked you to buy me a drink. Don't worry, I can't eat you up." Fang Yan looked at Jiang Shangxin's eyes, and there was a trace of sadness that couldn't be hidden. Fang Yan finally retracted his foot. The door of the elevator closed and slowly descended. Clang! When the door of the elevator opened again, a deafening noise and rolling heat waves rushed toward them. Fang Yan was stunned for a moment, and then he understood what kind of place this was. The underground boxing arena was also known as the underground boxing market. In order to attract customers, some bars would hire some boxing experts to come over and fight. Every punch hit the flesh, and the blood was boiling. In the process of killing and fighting, countless spectators screamed crazily, releasing the fatigue in their bodies and the hostility in their hearts to their heart's content. This was indeed a very good place. A place that was very suitable for Jiang Shangxin at this moment. It was also a place that was very suitable for Fang Yan at this moment. Although Fang Yan didn't like the murky air in the underground bar, he liked the passion and heat that collided with each other. He suddenly wanted to drink a large glass of cold beer that emitted the aroma of malt. He gulped it down in one go, causing goosebumps to rise all over his body, causing every pore on his body to stand on end. Jiang Shangxin brought Fang Yan to a tea stage at the side of the boxing arena, and shouted at the waiter who was walking over, "2 bottles of beer." Fang Yan took a look at Jiang Shangxin and grinned. Sometimes this woman was quite understanding. The waiter quickly served the beer, and there was a large glass filled with golden liquid. As it was filled to the brim, the foam of the beer was flowing out. Before he even tasted it, the aroma of wheat wafted over. Jiang Shangxin picked up a glass of cold beer and raised it to Fang Yan. She said, "Come Fang Yan, let me give you a toast. Thank you for treating me to this drink." Fang Yan smiled bitterly and said, "It seems more like you are treating me to this drink. This is my first time coming to this place, and they didn't seem to collect money from us just now. In that case, thank you for drinking with me," Jiang Shangxin said. No matter what the reason was, she had already raised the glass and started gulping down the beer as she spoke. Her cheeks were exquisite, and her neck was slender. Women who came from wealthy families had a noble aura and elegant behavior. When she gulped down the beer like a man, the alcohol flowed out from the corner of her mouth, giving off a bold and sexy vibe. Jiang Shangxin drank half of the glass in one go. Then she looked at Fang Yan and said, "Why aren't you drinking? Why aren't you drinking?" Fang Yan picked up the glass and took a sip. He said, "I feel that this matter is a little weird." "What's weird?" "The 2 of us shouldn't sit together and drink," Fang Yan said. "I mean, we have different standpoints." "What are our different standpoints?" Jiang Shangxin interrupted Fang Yan's words. She stared at Fang Yan with a sharp gaze and said, "Do I have the same standpoints as Jiang Junling? Do I have the same standpoints as Jiang Zhulu? Do you think that I should look for them to drink together?" Fang Yan thought about it, raised his glass and said, "Let me give you a toast." "Toast me for what?" "To your compromise," Fang Yan said. Chapter 543. To your grievances. To your anger and indignation. To your loneliness and helplessness. And to your strength and bravery. Jiang Shangxin had been holding it in for the past few days. She felt that she was about to explode. She was like a vacuum-packed fish. She breathed with all her might and struggled over and over again. In the end, she could only spit out bubbles helplessly. Her body was getting weaker and weaker, and her consciousness was getting more and more blurry. She was going to die. She knew that she was going to die if she didn't do something. What kind of woman am I? Jiang Shangxing gulped down a big mouthful of wine and slammed the table in front of her. She looked at Fang Yan, who was sitting opposite her, and shouted, I am a woman from the Jiang family. Who is the Jiang family? The Jiang family is the Jiang family. It is the Jiang family that everyone envies and fears. As long as you are a member of the Jiang family, you will definitely be the target of everyone's envy and fear. No matter how pretty or ugly you are, no matter how high your IQ is, you are at the top of society. Don't believe the nonsense that there is no hierarchy in this world. Those people who are high up in the hierarchy have terrifying connections and influence. They don't even need to do anything. They only need to frown or signal with their eyes, and those small characters who offend them will die without a burial place. Jiang Shangxing glanced at Fang Yan from the corner of her eyes and said, Jiang Junling doesn't like you very much. Originally, he thought that he only needed to use his eyes to signal someone to get rid of you, but he didn't expect you to be like a cockroach that can't be killed. Your vitality is quite tenacious, and you make him suffer again and again, making him lose face again and again. Evil will never win over good, Fang Yan said with a serious look. I stand on the side of good, so he can't win over me. Jiang Shangxin laughed maniacally. She laughed so hard that she was swaying back and forth. She laughed so hard that her voluptuous chest swayed a few times, as if it was about to break through the cage of her shirt and appear right in front of Fang Yan. She pointed at Fang Yan with her finger that was smeared black and said in an extremely disdainful tone, Fang Yan, what you said is nonsense. Do you believe in such nonsense? How many good people in the world have been wrongfully killed? At that time, why didn't anyone tell them that evil would never prevail over good? This was a society where strength was respected. Whoever has the bigger fist has the right to speak loudly. Shifting Shangxin's arm to the side, he pointed at the two boxers who were engaged in an intense battle in the arena and said, Look at them, who is evil and who is righteous? Would the side of justice be able to defeat the side of evil? The only difference is that they are risking their lives on the stage, while countless people are risking their lives off the stage. Fang Yan smiled and said, You have your own ideas, and I have my own insistence. Our lifestyles are different. Living in that kind of environment, all you see and think about are those powerful people, those influential people who use all kinds of methods to obtain victory after victory. I live in a small village. Except for a few people I don't like, most of the people there are kind-hearted. They don't hesitate to shed blood for something that seems silly to outsiders. It has been passed down from generation to generation, and has lasted for thousands of years. When I was young, I had always been thinking about how such a tribe could exist in this world. Until now, I still haven't figured out the answer to this question. Why does such a tribe exist? However, since it already exists, then there should be a reason for it to exist. What's worse is that I'm willing to die for it. I respect and admire those wise sages who have sacrificed themselves and those seniors who have sacrificed themselves. I wonder what kind of choice I would make if it were to be my turn one day. I didn't even think for too long before I got the answer in my heart. If it were to be my turn one day, I would make the same choice as them. My ancestors made such a choice. My great-grandfather made such a choice. My father and uncles made such a choice. How can it be broken when it comes to my generation? We have a custom where we come from. Whenever a descendant of a family dies in battle, the whole village will hang up a white banner. It doesn't matter if there were any disputes, quarrels, or who knocked out someone's front teeth or who broke someone's arm. On that day, all grudges will be put down, and the deceased will be the most important. To me, these people are all righteous. They aren't even afraid of death. So why would they be afraid of the temporary dark clouds that cover the sun? Jiang Shangxin didn't expect Fang Yan to say such things to her. After being in a daze for a while, she asked, The place that you are talking about, is Swallow Dock? That's right. Fang Yan nodded. General, get off the horse, Prime Minister. Swallow Dock. If there's a chance, I must go and take a look. Jiang Shangxin said with infinite longing. Because of you, I know of such a place and its various legends. But I always feel that those legends are too far away, and those stories are too old. I feel that everything is exaggerated and made up. So such a group of people really exists. Remember to park your car at the threshing ground at the entrance of the village. Fang Yan smiled and said, other than the cars of our own people in the village, all the cars that go to other places will be parked there. I'll remember, Jiang Shangxin said. Are you sending me an invitation? If I go to Swallow Dock, you'll entertain me, right? Fang Yan smiled and asked. Now do you believe that evil will never prevail over good? Jiang Shangxin shook her head and said, I don't believe it. Just like what you said before, I've seen too many good people being purged and buried. This is a cannibalistic society, and some people will really open their bloody mouths to eat people. Just like you come from such a magical place. Do you have the confidence to defeat Jiang Junling? Even if you defeat Jiang Junling, there's still the powerful Jiang family behind him. Fang Yan, you might not understand, but you're only fighting against Jiang Junling now. To Jiang Junling, you're an opponent, but to the Jiang family, you're just a piece of stone to sharpen their blades. Either the knife is sharpened by the stone, or the stone cuts a hole in the knife. At most, they'll just change to another knife and continue to sharpen it. But have you ever thought that when you, the stone, cut off one knife after another from the Jiang family, when you make the Jiang family feel threatened, they'll come at you in full force. The sky will fall, the earth will crack, and the rivers will flow in reverse. At that time, will you still be able to withstand it? I know that the Jiang family order is the knife of the Jiang family, and I also know that the Jiang family is very powerful and makes people feel helpless. Fang Yan played with the tall beer mug in his hand and said, but I can't just let them bully me without saying anything or doing anything, right? If that's the case, I'll become another good person being purged and buried by the bad guys. Fang Yan looked at Jiang Shangxin and said, I know that your heart is filled with anger, and I can completely understand how you're feeling right now. You can't understand. Jiang Shangxin sneered. People who haven't experienced it shouldn't easily say that they can understand others. To a patient with cancer, don't tell him that you're as sad as him. You can't possibly be as sad as him, you're just saying it. When you walk out of the ward, you'll be able to see the blue sky and white clouds. You'll be able to breathe in fresh air. And you'll be able to continue your rich and colorful life. The patient, on the other hand, can only bid farewell to this world in fear and reluctance. Oh. Fang Yan was speechless. Look, not only were these women from wealthy families noble and elegant, even their words were so sharp and full of philosophy. Fang Yan, you said that I shouldn't look for you for a drink. Then tell me, who should I look for a drink? Look for my brother, Jiang Junling? Look for my husband, Jiang Zhulu? Or should I look for my best friends who either follow the Jiang family's power, or are afraid of the Jiang family's power? Can I tell them that my brother asked my husband to poison my father to death? Can I tell them that I hate them to the core? Yet I still have to force a smile and pretend that nothing happened, and that I don't know anything? There was a type of grievance that couldn't be vented. Your heart was bleeding, yet you still had to smile and chat with the people who stabbed you. Who could understand such pain? Jiang Shangxin picked up the beer mug in front of her and gulped it down. She shouted, Waiter, give me another 2 bottles of beer. Fang Yan stopped her and said, You can't drink anymore, you've already drunk too much. This was the 4th beer that Fang Yan and Jiang Shangxin had drunk. 4 1-liter bottles of draft beer was nothing to Fang Yan, but it was obviously too much for a girl. Furthermore, if Shangxin got drunk, Fang Yan would have to be responsible for sending her back later. Who would want to do such a troublesome thing? She wasn't his wife anyway. No way. I still want to drink. Jiang Shangxin was unhappy and said, You're not willing to treat me to a drink? We're only at the beginning. I've only just started and you're not letting me drink anymore. This feeling of not being able to go up or down. Do you know how uncomfortable it is? Fang Yan, do you know that I'm going to die soon? Fang Yan was helpless. He waved at the waiter and said, Give me 2 more mugs of draft beer. As he spoke, he picked up the half-empty mug of beer in his hand and gulped it down. His principle was to drink a mug of beer with Jiang Shangxin. He wouldn't be at a disadvantage or take advantage of her. He wasn't an old drunkard who would fight for a drink with others. Fang Yan wanted to drink another mug of beer when he thought of the old drunkard. The waiter brought 2 1-liter bottles of beer over again. The sexy waitress in the bunny costume winked at Fang Yan when Jiang Shangxin wasn't paying attention. Perhaps she thought that Fang Yan, who had bought 8 mugs of draft beer in a row, was a big customer. Jiang Shangxin snatched a mug of beer from Jiang Shangxin and raised it to Fang Yan. "Come, a toast to my enemy who killed my father." Fang Yan had the urge to run away. Chapter 544. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. Waiter, 2 more bottles of beer. No, for more bottles of beer. Jiang Shangxin entered a drinking state, as if tomorrow was the end of the world. At this moment, she was possessed by the old drunkard, Yi Rou Li Xiaotian Zhu Zaiden, and even Fang Yan almost possessed her. She drank 2 glasses after another and drank 1 glass after another. She drank more and more alcohol, but the speed at which she drank was getting faster and faster. She really wanted to get drunk. She really wanted to get drunk. After Fang Yan tried to persuade him several times but to no avail, he decided not to stop him anymore. If she drank 1 glass, he would drink 1 glass with her. If she drank 2 glasses, Fang Yan would drink 2 glasses with her. If it really didn't work, he would suffer some losses and send her back when she was drunk. Fang Yan, Jiang Shangxin's body was sprawled on the runway. If it wasn't for the support of the runway, she would have lost her balance. She looked at Fang Yan with her beautiful eyes and said, "Do you think that I'm ridiculous? Do you think that I, Jiang Shangxin, am an idiot? I also think that I'm ridiculous, and I know that I'm an idiot. But I have to find someone to talk to and drink with. Don't you think it's weird? When Jiang Zhilu slapped me, I wasn't angry. I wasn't angry at all. I thought it was natural. I thought he should do something like that. At that time, he pressed me down on the sofa. I thought of you. I thought I must find a chance to drink with you. Why did I look for you?" Jiang Shangxin reached out to play with her long hair, so that it wouldn't block her vision. This action was very charming, and was full of the temptation of a mature woman. "I don't know either. I thought of everyone around me, but you were the only one I could think of drinking with. At least you wouldn't betray me. At least when I scolded Jiang Junling and Jiang Zhulu, you wouldn't turn around and repeat every single word I said to them. Isn't it very funny? I, Jiang Shangxin, have lived for so long, yet I can only trust my enemy." "We are not enemies," Fang Yan said. "Yes. We're not enemies. We're victims. You are a victim and so am I." As Jiang Shangxin spoke, she reached out to hug Fang Yan's neck. Fang Yan's body leaned back slightly, and her body fell forward. Fang Yan hurriedly pushed forward and hugged her. She threw Shangxin into Fang Yan's arms and lifted her pretty face to look at Fang Yan. "Why did you hide? Do you think I'm wrong? Or do you think I'm a shameless woman? I didn't mean that. I just thought." Just as Fang Yan was thinking of a reason to explain himself, Jiang Shangxin had already pushed him away and was staggering toward the arena in the middle of the bar. In the arena, 2 men were fighting fiercely. They were wearing white wrestling pants and had a red and black belt on their waists. The man with the red belt was tall and strong, and his punches were fierce. The man with the black belt was short, but his movements were unusually agile. Both of them used their own unique moves and unique skills. Every time their fists collided with flesh, the spectators would erupt into cheers like a tsunami. Fang Yan couldn't understand why these people were so obsessed with this game. It was still so early, but there were already so many spectators gathered here. What Fang Yan didn't know was that this underground boxing arena opened for business in the afternoon. Some bars arranged fights for their customers, but most of them were underground boxing experts who wanted to earn a high prize. There were also some dojos or martial arts groups that specially selected their own seeded fighters and sent them over. Not only was it for training, but it was also to earn a considerable amount of prize money after winning every match. For many martial artists who loved martial arts, their lives were quite poor. With Fang Yan's vision, he knew that the final winner would definitely be the man with the red belt. This fighter's punches were steady, and he knew when to advance and retreat. Although most of his attacks were dodged by his opponent, he was like a gorilla being played by a cunning monkey. However, when did you ever see a monkey beat a gorilla? The skinny player with the black belt was the monkey. He jumped up and down, rushing left and right. It seemed that he had the upper hand, and the gorilla was completely subdued. However, he had a fatal problem. His foundation was not stable, and his punches were weak. Although there was a saying that speed was the only thing that could not be broken in the world of martial arts, if your speed was not fast enough to pull away from others, then in the end, it still depended on the ingenuity of your strength. On this point, the monkey had no advantage. Sure enough, the gorilla faked and fell forward. When the monkey took the opportunity to sneak attack from behind, the gorilla's body turned 180 degrees, ignoring the monkey's dodge and fancy counterattack, and punched him in the cheek. Bang! The monkey screamed miserably. His body flew out and fell heavily on the floor not far away. Someone ran over and dragged the monkey away. More people cheered and applauded the gorilla on the stage. The gorilla waved his arms and shouted to the audience, "Who else? Who else? Who else dares to come up and challenge me? I am the best in the world, I am the best in the world." The audience applauded even more enthusiastically. Many people liked the domineering CEO demeanor of "I am the best in the world, and you can't get rid of me even if you don't like me." To them this was a man's fierce. Too arrogant. Jiang Shangxin raised the beer mug in her hand and smashed it toward the gorilla on the arena. Bam! The beer mug smashed onto the stage floor and shattered. The sound of it shattering was not loud enough, but it was enough to attract everyone's attention. The audience stared at the transparent flying object that suddenly fell on the arena in astonishment. They did not know what had happened. The gorilla stared blankly at the glass mug that had fallen at his feet. After a few seconds, he was completely enraged. He bared his fangs and roared at the audience. "Who is it? Which bastard threw something and sneaked an attack on me? If you are so capable, come up and fight with me. I will tear you into two." When Fang Yan saw that Jiang Shangxin had caused trouble, he hurried forward and dragged her away from the scene. This woman's alcohol tolerance was really bad. How could she do anything? "Don't pull me." Jiang Shangxin pushed Fang Yan's hand away and shouted toward the stage, "You gorilla! Gorilla?" Fang Yan was stunned. He only felt that this contestant looked like a gorilla. Why did Shangxin call him a gorilla? Could this be his stage name? After Shangxin had drunk too much alcohol, she let out a drunken burp and continued to shout, "What is there to be proud of? With your mediocre skills, you're not even worthy of carrying my boyfriend's shoes." Fang Yan looked around and asked in a low voice, "Who is your boyfriend? Is he here?" If Jiang Shangxin's boyfriend was here, Fang Yan could throw this woman to him and go home to sleep. However, after Jiang Shangxin shouted this sentence, everyone's attention shifted to Fang Yan. When the gorilla was called a gorilla in public, he wanted to tear this beautiful woman into pieces. He could not bear to tear Jiang Shangxin into pieces, so he accumulated his hatred on Fang Yan. He wanted to tear Fang Yan into pieces, so that no one would feel heartache. As for why he wanted to tear Fang Yan into pieces, who cared? He pointed at Fang Yan and shouted, "Gigolo, come up here." Fang Yan rejected him and smiled awkwardly. "Don't misunderstand, I am not her boyfriend. My friend drank too much, I will bring her back first." After that, he ignored Jiang Shangxin's struggle and dragged her out of the bar. "Coward!" Someone in the audience shouted. "Gigolo, fight with him, beat him to death. The girl will belong to whoever wins." Jiang Shangxin turned around and shouted at the gorilla on the stage, "If you can beat my boyfriend, I will sleep with you for a night." Fang Yan hurriedly reached out to cover Jiang Shangxin's mouth, but it was too late. "I will sleep with you for a night." This sentence was not very tempting when it came from the mouth of Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan. However, it was too lethal when it came from the mouth of such a beautiful woman like Jiang Shangxin. The gorilla swallowed his saliva and felt his blood boiling. He shouted at the audience, "Everyone here be my witness. Today, I, Chendachui, will bring the beauty home and enjoy myself." Seeing that Fang Yan was dragging Jiang Shangxin toward the elevator, Chendachui panicked and shouted, "Gigolo, don't you dare run away." With a flick of his foot, he scooped up the glass shards in front of him and threw them toward Fang Yan's back. A strong gust of wind blew behind him, but Fang Yan spun Jiang Shangxin 90 degrees without looking back. Crack, crack, the glass shards hit the sturdy wall and turned into even finer shards. Chen Dachui was even more excited when he saw that Fang Yan had dodged his attack. He shouted at Fang Yan, "Gigolo, you are good at dodging, but I don't know how good you are at fighting. Come, let Grandpa give you a few punches. If you can beat me, you can take the woman and the prize. If you lose, hee, I'm afraid that your life will be over." Those who were watching the show shouted at the gorilla, "Beat him to death, beat him to death." Jiang Shangxin, who was lying in Fang Yan's arms, had no intention of going back on her words. She gave the gorilla a thumbs up. The gorilla opened its mouth and laughed, but as it laughed, the smile on its face froze. This was because Jiang Shangxin had turned her thumb upside down in front of the gorilla. Humiliation. This was another humiliation. Then she used 2 fingers as a gun and aimed at the gorilla's head. Bang! "You are dead," Jiang Shangxin said to the gorilla. Chapter 545. The gorilla couldn't hear what Jiang Shangxin was saying, because he was quite a distance away. However, he saw Jiang Shangxin giving him a thumbs up and shooting him in the head. He saw her moving her red lips. With the gorilla's extraordinary intelligence, he knew that Jiang Shangxin wasn't saying anything nice. He felt insulted and looked down upon. Furthermore, he was being looked down upon by a beautiful woman whom he had never had the chance to interact with before. He was already a little proud and arrogant after winning the battle. Moreover, he was insulted in such a manner, causing his rage points to rise to the highest point. The gorilla roared into the sky, pointed at Fang Yan and shouted, "If I don't tear you into pieces today, I, the gorilla, Chen Dachui, will write my name backwards. Lad, come up and fight with me if you are a man." What would a gorilla's name be written backwards? Gorilla? However, Fang Yan felt extremely depressed and aggrieved. Others were the ones who called him a gorilla, not him. I only called him that in my heart. Shangxin was the one who had provoked him, but he hadn't even said a single word. Why didn't you look for the person in question? Why did you have to tear him into pieces? "I don't want to fight," Fang Yan said. He dragged Jiang Shangxin and prepared to leave this place. He didn't provoke anyone. Why did he want to fight with someone? It would be fine if it was a suitable opponent, but who would want to fight with a gorilla? Was there a need to prove his intelligence by solving a math problem for elementary school students? Fang Yan pressed the elevator button and waited for the doors to open. "Coward, you are really a coward. Ha ha ha. A gigolo will always be a gigolo, nice to look at but useless. Chen Dachui, we support you. That girl is yours." Chen Dachui was also anxious. He jumped down from the arena and shouted at Fang Yan, "Gigolo, you can leave if you want, but leave that woman here." In Chen Dachui's opinion, this woman was already a beauty in his bed. Didn't she say it just now? As long as he won, her boyfriend would sleep with him for a night. As long as that gigolo agreed, he would be able to KO him in a second. Of course, even if he didn't agree, he could KO him in a second. In his opinion, Fang Yan wanting to escape was a coward. Regardless of whether he was afraid or not, Chen Dachui was determined to knock down a man and snatch a woman away. That was how capricious he was when he knew how to fight. Chen Dachui stood in front of Fang Yan, stretched out his hand and said, "Give her to me." Fang Yan hesitated and asked, "Do you really want it?" Chen Dachui chuckled and said, "Aren't you talking nonsense? I, Chen Dachui, have never played with such a beautiful woman in my entire life. TSK, look at this face, look at this skin, look at this body. I can't give it to you." Fang Yan shook his head and said, "She drank too much and is no longer conscious. It doesn't seem right to hand her over at this time. Brat, do you believe that I can tear you to pieces in a second? Why is it this line again?" Fang Yan was really a little angry. "If you are so capable, why don't you tear Shangxin into pieces? If you are so capable, come and do it. Let's see if the Jiang family will grind you into minced meat. Let's see if Jiang Zhulu will make your entire family die without a burial place. You only pick on the weak and bully the honest. You really have no morals at all. Bastard. What are you talking about?" Chen Dachui sneered. "Who is the Jiang family? Who is Jiang Zhulu? Let them come and find me and watch me tear them to pieces. Why don't you ask around? Who have I, Chen Dachui, ever been afraid of? Chen Dachui had never heard of the Jiang family, nor did he know who Jiang Zhilu was. Another two gigolos? The arrogant were afraid of the foolish, and the foolish were afraid of the reckless. Fang Yan really did not know how to deal with such reckless idiots. Give her to me. Chen Dachui shouted at Fang Yan again. I really can't give her to you. Fang Yan rejected him. You can do whatever you want when she's sober. But she's drunk now. I have the responsibility to protect her safety. Then don't blame me for being rude. As Chen Dachui spoke, he threw a punch at Fang Yan's face. His upper body was naked, revealing his firm and bulging muscles. Because his face and chest were injured during the fight just now, there were also patches of purplish-red bruises on his body. These injuries were not serious, but they made him look even more powerful and ferocious. He flew into a rage and looked like an enraged gorilla. His clenched fist was like a giant hammer, smashing toward Fang Yan's head with a whistling sound. If it was an ordinary person, his head would definitely be sent flying after receiving such a blow from him. Even if it was an extraordinary person, he would probably become a vegetable after being punched by him. Fang Yan had heard before that underground fighters were very vicious. They would do anything during a fight, and when they attacked, they were all about killing with one blow, using martial arts to show off. It was referring to these boorish men who fought underground. Fang Yan was furious. If he was a gigolo who was scolded by others, he would probably be beaten to death by this gorilla. So he also clenched his fist and punched toward the gorilla's fist. Fang Yan's punch was ordinary, without any sharp energy or whistling fist wind. It looked like an ordinary punch from an ordinary person. The gorilla's face showed a sarcastic smile and said, Gigolo, you're courting death. Pa, their fists collided. The gorilla didn't feel anything strange at first. He was looking forward to the moment when he sent Fang Yan flying with a punch and received thunderous applause from the audience. Wasn't this the only outcome? The gorilla was very confident in his fist strength. He had once tried to kill a strong bull with one punch. The bull was knocked to the ground by him. It wailed twice and died. However, he soon noticed that something was wrong. Fang Yan wasn't sent flying. He was still standing in the same place and sneered at him. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Before he had time to think of such a thing, a majestic force suddenly attacked his fist. It was like a 1,000-pound boulder pressing on an egg, like a storm hitting a river bank. It was a force that he couldn't resist. It was like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. Crack, crack, crack. The gorilla's knuckles and arms crackled like beans popping, and then there was a sharp pain in his mind. Ah! He screamed and fell to the ground on the spot and fainted. Not only that, but his body, which was lying on the ground, was still twitching nonstop. Once, twice, thrice, it could be seen what kind of blow he had just suffered. This scene was too sudden and too nature-defying. Everyone was waiting, or rather, looking forward to the scene of Fang Yan being sent flying by the gorilla, kneeling on the ground and crying, and the gorilla carrying the little beauty away, laughing maniacally. How did such a shocking scene happen? Did the scriptwriter write the wrong script? That pretty boy, he actually knocked the gorilla out with one punch? The gorilla must have been paid to cooperate with the act. It was shameful to fake it. Shangxin lifted her head from Fang Yan's shoulder and opened her eyes. She looked at the gorilla on the ground in a daze, then looked at the side of Fang Yan's face and broke into a smile. It was a very sweet expression. Whoosh! A group of men dressed in black rushed over. An elderly man squatted down and checked the gorilla's breathing. He was slightly relieved and said, "He's still breathing." When he reached out to pull the gorilla up, he stared at Fang Yan in disbelief, as if he was struck by lightning. A middle-aged man next to him asked, "Old Ge, what happened?" "Dachui, his right hand is crippled, all the bones are broken," Old Ge said in a hoarse voice. Wow, there was an uproar. How could this guy be so powerful? Did he break Chen Dachui's bones with that move just now? Was this not an act? What? The middle-aged man was shocked. Take him down. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the men in black immediately surrounded Fang Yan. Gray stood up and stared at Fang Yan angrily. How could you cripple someone's arm just now? How could you be so vicious? Fang Yan looked at Gray expressionlessly and said, "Did you see him injuring me with his punch just now?" "Did he injure you?" Gray asked. "What if he did? Your skills are way better than his. How could you be injured by him?" The old man was even angrier. Fang Yan sneered and said, "When he punched me, did you know that my skills were way better than his? What if I don't know any kung fu at all? You're saying if..." "Yes, I'm saying if I didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken, wouldn't I have been killed by that punch just now? Why didn't you say anything to stop him? Why didn't you say that he was vicious? You're twisting words and forcing logic." The middle-aged man shouted, "Now the facts are right in front of us. You crippled Dachui's arm for no reason. You must give Dachui an explanation. Give our club an explanation." Chun Dachui was an underground boxing expert trained by the True Martial Club. He was also one of the True Martial Club's most important money trees. Now that Fang Yan had crippled Chun Dachui's arm, it was a huge blow and loss to the True Martial Club. "That's right, you must give our club an explanation. If you don't give us an explanation, don't even think about leaving today. Brothers F***CK this guy, let's spar with this little bastard." The True Martial Club's experts surrounding Fang Yan all shouted, ready to use their advantage in numbers to take down Fang Yan. How strong can a man who's holding a woman be? Although Chun Dachui was defeated by this kid, that was because that idiot underestimated him. They wouldn't make such a mistake again. Once they started fighting, they would be ruthless. They wouldn't give Fang Yan any chance to fight back. Fang Yan smiled at the middle-aged man and asked, "You want an explanation?" Chapter 546. That's right, you have to give us an explanation. There's no difference between breaking someone's arm and chopping off their head. You have ruined Dachui's life. If we let you go like this, the martial arts club will not be able to establish itself in the underworld. The middle-aged man said fiercely. Life was like a box of chocolates. No one knew which one would grow worms. In one's life, one would meet all sorts of strange people. Some people would share the same attribute as you and become your friend. But most people would become strangers who brush shoulders with you. Some people would make you laugh and cry, while some people would make you want to beat them up and scream. This was too much of a bully. Jiang Shangxin was the instigator of this incident. If the gorilla really felt insulted, it would be natural for him to jump down and beat Jiang Shangxin up. Of course, from Fang Yan's point of view, he had the responsibility to protect Jiang Shangxin. At the very least, he couldn't let Jiang Shangxin get seriously injured. This was also the reason why Fang Yan was indifferent and refused to go on stage even though the gorilla had repeatedly provoked him, and even called him a gigolo. Fang Yan knew that he was in the wrong, and since he was in the wrong, he had to accept the other party's retaliation. Why was it that you could throw bottles at others, but others couldn't call you a gigolo and tear you apart? Fang Yan was really angry with the gorilla, because he really wanted to tear him apart. When we watch movies, we often hear a familiar line, "Fists and kicks have no eyes." If it's a minor injury, it can lead to a fatal one. Since everyone in the underworld knows that fists and kicks have no eyes, they should be even more cautious. However, the gorilla didn't know what was going on, and threw a punch at his head. Based on the strength that Fang Yan felt, that punch was enough to smash his head into pieces. It was like using a hammer to hit a hard-boiled egg. If Fang Yan was just an ordinary person, bullying others by force, injuring others with force, this was a huge taboo in the underworld. Using a killer move at the slightest disagreement. This was indeed the style of underground boxing players, but it wasn't something that Fang Yan could accept. He knew that in the underground boxing ring, people were beaten to death or crippled from time to time. However, he was just a bystander, an ordinary spectator in an underground bar. It was not appropriate for Chun Dachui to deal with him with the methods and moves that he used to deal with underground boxers. Therefore, Fang Yan struck out in anger and directly crippled one of the gorilla's arms. That man was too violent and lethal. He had to give him some punishment. Otherwise, his thoughts would be clouded again. When Chun Dachui repeatedly provoked and insulted Fang Yan, his fellow disciples did not say anything. When he punched out to end Fang Yan's life, his fellow disciples didn't say anything. Now that Fang Yan had defeated someone and destroyed Chen Dachui's arm, they jumped out to say that Fang Yan was vicious and wanted Fang Yan to give them an explanation. Did the experts of the inner river deserve to be bullied by outsiders? This is bullying, Fang Yan said with a smile. If I was killed by him, could you give me an explanation? Give my family an explanation? Would the true martial arts guild hall have a way to stand in the underworld then? You're talking about something that didn't happen at all. You're just making things up. What if Dachui's punch suddenly changed direction? What if it suddenly retracted when it hit your head? I said you wanted to kill me, and you didn't kill me. Would the judge sentence you for murder? The middle-aged man said. He pointed at Chen Dachui, who was lying on the ground, with a face full of regret. He said, a good seedling was destroyed by you just like that. Even if he's fine, he can't fight anymore. Kid, if you don't give me an explanation, I can't let you. That's right. That pretty boy is too much of a bully. You can't just let him leave after beating him up. We're the only ones bullying others. When has the True Martial Arts Guild Hall ever been bullied like this? The members of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall, and some other spectators also spoke up, fiercely condemning Fang Yan, who was holding a beauty in his arms. Smack. Fang Yan slapped the middle-aged man's face and asked with a smile, is this the explanation you want? Stunned. Everyone was stunned. That pretty boy, he dared to hit someone? Did he know who he hit? He had just crippled the arm of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall's trump card, Chen Dachui, and now he hit the head of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Was he crazy? Wang Dongxiu also thought that Fang Yan was crazy. If he wasn't crazy, how could he dare to slap his face when he was surrounded by the brothers of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall? However, he also felt that something was wrong. What exactly was wrong with him? Because he was thinking about this important question, he didn't make a crazy and powerful response to Fang Yan's slap in time. Oh yes, he remembered now. He was also a martial artist, one of the top masters in the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Other than the old priest, Gulei, he was the face of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. Logically speaking, when one was attacked by others, one's body would react naturally. One would either dodge or counterattack. This was the basic quality that a martial artist should have. However, why didn't he react when that pretty boy hit him? He didn't dodge, he took the slap head-on. Before Wang Dongxiu could figure out the answer to this question, the men behind him couldn't help but want to take action. Brothers, let's destroy this pretty boy. Break both his legs. Curator, hurry up and say something. Fang Yan hugged Shangxin tightly with one hand and let her head rest on his shoulder. That way, he could avoid getting hurt by accident or using her as a weapon if they were to really fight. You want to hit someone because you can't win? Fang Yan said with a wronged expression. Taking turns to fight? Is this the style of the True Martial Arts Club? You can only win because you have more people? If you are so capable, why don't you fight me one by one? Let's fight one-on-one then. Just as the idiot spoke, he was sent flying by Gulei's slap. If you want to die, don't drag everyone down with you. How could someone who could cripple Chen Dachui's arm be easy to deal with? Gulei looked at Fang Yan cautiously and asked, Sir, what's your name? Do you guys want to know what's going on before you hit someone? Fang Yan didn't want to say his name. He was Fang Yan, the security guard of Rosefinch Secondary. After the previous lesson, he didn't want to bring any negative impact to the reputation of Rosefinch Secondary. From the moment you attacked, I knew that you are a martial artist. Every tree has its roots, and everyone has their own sect. You have to know your surname, name, and sect. There are too many people who come out to make a living in the underworld, and it's inevitable that there will be incidents like this. Gulei said calmly. He was very interested in Fang Yan's background. He's just a nobody, don't take it to heart. Fang Yan said. I'll fight you one-on-one, but I'll call the police if it's a group fight. His name is Fang Yan, he's a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary, someone shouted from the crowd. Fang Yan didn't expect his fame to be so high. He was recognized even when he went to the underground boxing market to watch a boxing match. Of course, Fang Yan also knew that because of his return after 3 years, and because of Du Qing's attachment and the series of battles of wits and courage with Jiang Junling using Huaqing as a chessboard, he had now risen to become one of the most influential and powerful people in Huaqing. As a famous person, he had to have the awareness of a famous person. It was normal for some of his admirers to know his name and appearance. Fang Yan. Gulei chewed on the name and asked, "Just now I saw you use an internal boxing technique that Boro's forced to fight back. Is it Fang Tai Chi?" Fang Yan looked at Gulei in surprise and said with a smile, "Old man, you're knowledgeable. My master is Fang Hui." "So that's how it is." Gulei sighed. Fang Tai Chi is an internal martial art. Chen Dachui is a fool who only knows how to polish his skin, muscles, and bones. How can he be your opponent? Fang Yan smiled and said, "Let's call it a day, shall we?" Gulei shook his head and said, "Even if this group of kids ganged up on you, I'm afraid they won't be able to keep you." Old Gu, Wang Dongxi was shocked. He knew that Fang Yan was powerful, but he didn't believe that Fang Yan was this powerful. There were more than a dozen people in the Zhenwu Guild Hall. Other than him and Gulei, there were 4 or 5 good fighters. Although the other kids' fists were not strong enough, they could still use some strength. Why was it that in Gulei's words, his own people were so weak? Gulei looked at Wang Dongxiu and said, "Curator, if you believe me, let me handle this. If you don't believe me, I'll leave now." "Of course I believe you, old Gu." Wang Dongxiu saw that Gulei was angry and quickly said. Gray nodded and turned his gaze back to Fang Yan. He said, "I've met Big Brother Tiger's Might once before. At that time, I was only a junior, and didn't even have the chance to fight with Big Brother Tiger's Might. Today, I'm able to meet Big Brother Tiger's Might's descendant." Gulei was a little embarrassed and said, "Don't say that I'm bullying the young. Today, I'll be thick-skinned and ask you to fight with me. If I win, you have to give Dachui an explanation. If I lose, I'll forget about what happened today. Dachui's medical expenses and his future compensation will be borne by me. What do you think of that?" "Why would I say that you're bullying the young? You can't bully me anyway," Fang Yan said with a serious face. "Even if I leave now, you can't stop me. Why do I have to fight with you?" Gulei's face turned green and white. His mouth was wide open, and he didn't know how to continue. This kid, bullying an old man, did dogs eat his conscience? Chapter 547. Fang Yan's reaction not only made Gray speechless, but even the bystanders felt that this kid had gone too far. An honest old man took the initiative to stand up and politely said, "Let's have a fight. If I win, you'll have to give us an explanation. If I lose, you'll just walk away. Isn't this a normal thing to do? How could you reject others? That's reasonable and emotional, but how could you reject others? This kid is too hateful. Someone go up and beat him up. I'll pay 1 million for one of this kid's arms. Damn it, I've never seen a bastard more arrogant than him. People who don't respect the elderly are uncultured. This kind of man is disgusting. I won't even look at him." Gray was the True Martial Guild Hall's consecrator, and also a teacher of the True Martial Guild Hall. Seeing their teacher being bullied like this, his disciples and grand-disciples couldn't hold back any longer. "Teacher, I don't care who this kid is. Let me chop him up and feed him to the dogs." A bald man beat his chest and said fiercely. His teacher was being humiliated. He felt like he was going crazy. "Brothers, let's not talk about Jianghu morality with people who don't care about Jianghu morality. Isn't he powerful? Isn't he good at fighting? Come everyone, let's go together. I'll take the lead." A thin and tall man with a long braid roared. "Old Gu, don't give this kid any face. He's climbing up the pole, and then stepping on our faces." Wang Dongxiu, the head of the martial arts guild, had an extremely ugly expression on his face. Although Fang Yan was attacking Gray, Gray was their guild's signature. He wouldn't easily fight with others. How could the martial arts guild raise their heads in front of their friends in the outside world, when he was being looked down upon like this? Gray opened his mouth to speak, but found that he didn't know where to start. He could only let out a long sigh. So what if it's Fang family Tai Chi? So the Fang family's Taiji people could bully others outside? I'm not a member of the True Martial Arts Guild. Before this, the members of the True Martial Arts Guild were the opponents of our Justice Guild. However, I can't let this matter go. Brat, you have to give the True Martial Arts Guild an explanation. Otherwise, don't even think of leaving this place today. If the True Martial Arts Guild doesn't agree to it, my brothers won't agree to it either. Fang Yan had incurred the wrath of the masses this time. Even the fighters from other guilds stood up to help him. Because of Fang Yan's uneducated words, almost the whole world stood against him. Jiang Shangxin finally got up from Fang Yan's embrace. Looking at the surroundings, she then looked at Fang Yan and said, "This started because of me, why don't we?" "Shut up," Fang Yan said. Jiang Shangxin could only shut up obediently. Fang Yan ignored the murderous gazes staring at him, nor did he care about the increasingly high temperature and tense atmosphere in the underground boxing field. He stared at Gray and asked, "Why didn't you stop it before?" "What did you say?" Gray asked. "Why didn't you stop Chendachui when he jumped down from the stage and chased after us? Why didn't you stop him when he was about to punch my head?" "You." Gray's face was ashen. Fang Yan raised his voice and said, "As an elder and a senior in martial arts, shouldn't you stand up and reprimand your disciples at the first instance when they make a mistake or are about to hurt someone? I've come into contact with many elders. I have a grandfather too. I know very well that if I were in Chendachui's position, my grandfather would stand up and reprimand me when I insulted someone as a gigolo. He would force me to take the initiative to apologize to the person who was insulted. If I tried to kill someone without restraint, my grandfather would jump out and break one of my arms or one of my legs before my opponent could retaliate. A country cannot prosper without virtue, and a man cannot stand without virtue. Those who learn martial arts should pay special attention to martial art morality. If Elder Gu had stood up and told Chendachui that he was wrong, if Elder Gu had punished Chendachui before he punched me, then things wouldn't have developed to this stage, and you would still be a senior that I respect and adore. But you didn't do that. Some things have nothing to do with age, but are closely related to a person's moral character. It's naturally difficult for a man without virtue to stand up. I don't want him to stand up in front of me." Fang Yan's gaze was like a searchlight as it swept across the people who were staring at him. He said, "Ask yourselves, is it really because of what I said that you attacked me as a group? Is it really because I didn't respect the old man in front of me that I didn't want to respect? You have only found a way out, a pretext, a reason to propel yourselves to the moral high ground to lash and punish me. Just because I refused an old man's challenge, you think I'm insulting him. Insulting an old man is a big crime, so I deserve to die? Whether it's a group fight or a one-on-one fight, you all think it's natural and righteous. I heard someone shout just now, we don't need to talk about Jianghu morality with people who don't care about Jianghu morality. Isn't he powerful? Isn't he good at fighting? Come on everyone, let's go together. Don't you feel good about this? When you beat me to the ground, you can still proudly spit on my face and scold me for being a despicable and shameless villain. You can even bully an old man. I wonder how bad your character is. At that time, don't you want to give yourself some applause? There's no more perfect counterattack than this. You can teach me a lesson, and you can win the applause and favor of the beautiful women around you. If you're lucky, someone might even offer to sleep with you. But when all of you were cheering and celebrating, what exactly did I do wrong? In order to protect a drunk woman, I wanted to take her away, and then I was scolded repeatedly and might even be punched to death. Minus the complicated process in the middle. This is the original truth of the matter. Is this the reason why I should be despised and beaten up by all of you? The onlookers looked at each other and realized that what Fang Yan said made so much sense that they actually had no words to refute him. Jiang Shangxin stared at Fang Yan with a burning gaze and hugged Fang Yan's neck even more tightly. Her sexy red lips whispered into Fang Yan's ears. "Fang Yan, I think I'm falling in love with you." When she spoke, her voice carried the malt fragrance of beer. Just listening to it was enough to make one drunk. Fang Yan shifted his gaze to Gray's face again and said, "There's another important reason why I refused to accept your challenge. I'm not in the wrong. You didn't stand out to punish Chendachui, so I did it on your behalf. I didn't do anything wrong. I won't bear any losses for something that I didn't do wrong. Also, when you challenged me, you said that if I lost, I had to give Chindachui an explanation. Even if I lost, why would I have to give him an explanation? Because he wanted to kill me, so it was wrong for me to destroy one of his arms. As for what you said about me being able to leave after I won, you were being generous at the expense of others. Fang Yan pointed at the group of boxers at the True Martial Arts Guild Hall, who were shouting that they wanted to tear him into pieces, and said, "If I wanted to leave, with just you and these useless things, can you stop me?" This was no longer an insult, it was pointing at someone's nose and scolding them. Whether I leave or stay depends entirely on my own attitude. If I want to leave, I'll leave. If I want to stay, I'll stay. Who can do anything about it? Jiang Shangxin's beautiful eyes widened, and her little mouth opened wide. Her body trembled as if she had received a slight electric shock, giving her an uncontrollable sense of joy. She wanted to scream and scream. She wanted to tell the whole world something loudly. Or perhaps she wanted to lie quietly in his arms and look at him with the most adoration and infatuation in her eyes. In the past, when she had just started dating Jiang Zhulu, she felt that he was gentle, meticulous, scheming, and was a very charming man. However, she had never experienced this kind of feeling from Jiang Zhulu, this kind of majestic and heroic feeling that he was the only one in the world, even if there were millions of people around him. This was really a man who made one love him from the inside out, to the depths of one's soul. Fang Yan. Jiang Shangxin panted and whispered into Fang Yan's ear again. "Not already, not about to. I feel that I have already fallen in love with you." Her breath smelled like orchids, and her lips almost bit Fang Yan's earlobe. She did have such a thought, but she was forcefully suppressing her current behavior. Faced with such a charming man, she really wanted to serve him to the heavens and do anything for him willingly. Fang Yan felt that his ear was a little itchy. In such a serious occasion, at such an intense and exciting moment, this little woman was still lying in his arms and flirting with him. Was she crazy? He tilted his head slightly to one side, so that he could stay further away from Jiang Shangxin's lips. This unromantic action made Jiang Shangxin angry. Her eyes widened and she gritted her teeth, wishing that she could bite off one of Fang Yan's ears. Fang Yan looked at Gray and the crowd that still surrounded him and said, "I am a good person, so I naturally have to be reasonable in my words and actions. I am sorry everyone, after my analysis just now, you should be clear that reason is still on my side. So what do you plan to do next?" "Tear him apart." A disciple of the True Martial Arts Guild shouted. Fang Yan nodded and said, "You see, actually most people are unreasonable. In the future, don't use the elderly as an excuse to attack others. Who did the elderly offend?" As Fang Yan spoke, he had already kicked the disciple of the True Martial Arts Guild who had pounced on him and shouted, "Tear him apart." More people pounced on Fang Yan. Chapter 548. Jiang Shangxin felt that she was about to fly. She kept flying, from the sky to the sea, and from the sea to the forest. She had flown before, but this was the most enjoyable driving experience for her. Oh no, it was the experience of being driven. It was very strange that Jiang Shangxin did not feel afraid at all. When she was being hugged by Fang Yan and being beaten up by countless burly men, blood splattered everywhere, screams of pain, and the sound of bones breaking, she did not feel afraid at all. Her heart was filled with excitement. In order to maintain her soft and sexy figure, she did not practice taekwondo like many socialites or hire a martial arts teacher to guide her. Other than practicing yoga for an hour every day, she would run 4 times a month. Other than that, she did not exercise at all. Other than letting others exercise, she did not have any ability to protect herself. The only thing she could do was to give herself to Fang Yan. She believed that Fang Yan would protect her, just like he did just now. She believed that Fang Yan would be able to protect herself. She did not doubt this at all. Isn't this too ridiculous? Even Jiang Shangxin felt that she was sick. No matter what, Fang Yan was her enemy. Before tonight, they were still in a life-and-death struggle. Why did she trust him so much? Why did she have so much confidence in him? Because Fang Yan is a good person. Jiang Shangxin thought to herself. Of course, she was very clear that this was not the only reason. In fact, it was not even the most important reason. There were so many good people in the world. Why did she only trust Fang Yan? Fang Yan was a charming man. Fang Yan was a man that people were infatuated with. Fang Yan was a man that she fell in love with. This is no longer ridiculous, it's a fantasy. Jiang Shangxin thought to herself. How could she fall in love with a man with only a few encounters? However, when this thought surfaced in her mind, Jiang Shangxin realized that she could not refute it. She could not convince herself. Fang Plum Blossom steps. Fang Yan's feet stepped on the plum blossoms, his body passing through the crowd like a gentle breeze. With a single punch, he sent a man in black, who was clenching his teeth and pouncing at him flying. The man's teeth fell out. With another lightning-fast step, the face of a big guy who was sneaking up on him turned the color of pig liver. He covered his crotch and squatted down. Drunken crane rides the wind. Fang Yan was like a drunkard who had too much to drink. He was holding a woman in his arms as he staggered in the crowd. Every time he hit someone with his shoulder or knee, the person who was hit would be sent flying, the bones in his body cracking. Iron skin. His body was like iron bones. Anyone who came into contact with it would be injured. The trump cards of the true martial guild hall were indeed quite strong. Several of their punches were accompanied by the sound of wind and thunder. They were already showing signs of attaining a higher level. The most threatening ones were Gray and Wang Dongxiu, the curator of the True Martial Arts Guild Hall. The two of them were in the middle of the Jianghu and the Jianghu. They were the top figures in the Jianghu, but they could not enter the Jianghu. In other words, even though they knew the cultivation method, it was still difficult for them to enter the more profound and mysterious world of the Jianghu. Just like Fang Yan's disciple, Zhang Chun, who had been the champion of Huaqing Sanda for many years, and was already a top expert in the Jianghu. However, when he met Fang Yan, he did not have the slightest bit of power to retaliate. This was the difference between understanding the force and using the qi. However, they could not stop Fang Yan's footsteps even if they worked together. They could not even hurt his hair and clothes. No matter how hard they tried, the gap was too big. Before they could even touch Fang Yan's body, they were sent flying by a heavy blow. It was like a chick and a goshawk, like a house cat and a wild leopard, like a gun and a cannon, and even more like an egg and a stone. An egg would not touch a stone. Would a basket of eggs be enough? Would a cart of eggs be enough? The answer was no. Bam bam, bam. Gray did have a few tricks up his sleeve. Every time he punched out, there would be a loud sound of impact. That was the sound produced by his fist, and the stirring of the air. His fists did not hurt anyone, but the force from his fists made one's face burn with pain. Of course, it made Shangxin's face burn with pain. Even though Fang Yan had her in his arms, she would definitely be the first target of those punches, kicks, elbows, and whatnot when facing the enemy head-on. She looked like a protective doll that Fang Yan had placed in front of him. Fang Yan took 3 quick steps, turned his body to Gray's left, and kicked him away with a black dragon swings its tail. Gulei retreated continuously, and only managed to stand up with difficulty after Wang Dongxiu supported him from behind. "Old Gu, are you alright?" Wang Dongxiu asked with concern. When Gulei saw that Wang Dongxiu was bleeding from the corner of his mouth, he knew that he had suffered an internal injury. With reddened eyes he said, "Dongxiu, this kid is tricky. Let him go. Don't let the kids be at a disadvantage." Wang Dongxiu stared at Fang Yan fiercely and could not make the final decision. If he allowed Fang Yan to leave just like that, the martial arts club would lose a lot of face. After today's incident, the martial arts club could be completely removed from the underground boxing scene. If they could not even defeat one person, how could they still have the face to stand in the arena and fight with others? However, they had brought the entire club to attack Fang Yan. They even had some good friends who had volunteered to help. For example, Master Zheng from the Justice Boxing Club and Master Li from the Great Accomplishment Boxing Club. Of course, they were all lying on the ground and howling in pain. If they could not even take down that kid with such strength and made him suffer a few punches and kicks, was there still a need to continue fighting this battle? Even if they persisted, not only would more members of the club get injured, But Gulay and himself would also not end up well. From the way he dealt with Chindachui, it could be seen that this kid was ruthless. If they really enraged him, Wang Dongshu hesitated for a moment and said, pretending to be in a difficult position, "Since old Go has spoken, we juniors can only obey." Wang Dongshu waved his hand and shouted, "Back off, all of you." Phew! Someone breathed a sigh of relief. Because countless people breathed a sigh of relief at the same time, the gathering of this soft sigh sounded particularly ear-piercing. Those members of the martial arts club were already in a dilemma. If they advanced, they could not win. If they retreated, they would lose face. Now that the curator had personally spoken, they naturally felt happy both physically and mentally. Everyone looked at each other, feeling a little embarrassed. Gulay and Wang Dongshu were also very embarrassed. They glared at those kids with disappointment and shouted, "What a disgrace." Many people were lying on the ground. The onlookers had long hidden far away, saying that Fang Yan was not human. Fang Yan, who was standing in the middle of the crowd, was extraordinarily handsome, like a top-notch swordsman who had never been seen in the world. He had won. The victory was easy and pleasing to the eye. Although Fang Yan had never seriously fought with anyone, the only thing he had done was to shuttle around the crowd with a charming little woman in his arms. However, every time he punched, someone would be sent flying, and every time he kicked, someone would fall to the ground. Like a butterfly playing with a flower, he was free and unfettered. In other words, among so many people present, no one was worthy of him seriously fighting. He did not even use the heart of Tai Chi, although it was difficult for him to speak. Some words had to be said. Wang Dongshu cleared his throat and looked at Fang Yan with unfocused eyes. He said, "It's our bad luck that our skills are not as good as others. You should go." Fang Yan smiled and pointed at Chindachui, who was still unconscious after being dragged not far away by them. He said, "If you were really unlucky, you would have been like him." Wang Dongshu felt suffocated. He could not argue with him, and he could not beat him in a fight. If he were to meet such an opponent again, he would hide further away. Fang Yan did not want to talk anymore. Under the gaze of countless people, he pressed the elevator button. When the elevator door opened, he carried Shangxin and walked into the elevator. Clang! When the elevator door closed again, everyone in the underground boxing arena heaved a sigh of relief at the same time. This was a feeling that made people blush. It was a kind of pressure that was condescending, so everyone wanted to deliberately ignore it. Therefore, those who were boxing continued to box, and those who were drinking continued to drink. Those who were flirting continued to flirt, and those who were cursing continued to curse. Wang Dongshu supported Gray and wanted to say something, but he could not say anything. Gray sighed and said, "Boxing is scary, young man. Let's admit defeat this time. Let the children get up and send Dachui to the hospital." "I will make the arrangements," Wang Dongshu said. In the elevator, Fang Yan felt that Shangxin's breathing was getting heavier. He asked, "Are you all right? I want to go to the washroom." Jiang Shangxin's voice was like the buzzing of a mosquito as she whispered into Fang Yan's ear. She had drunk a few mugs of beer in a row, and it had long become a burden on her body. She did not feel anything when she was fighting with others just now, but now that the fight was over, she felt that it was unbearable. Fang Yan nodded and said, "I will send you there." The elevator stopped at the side hall of the bar. When the two men in black saw Fang Yan and Jiang Shangxin coming out, they smiled and bowed to them again. Fang Yan nodded at them, and after asking for the location of the washroom, he carried Shangxin and walked over. Fang Yan placed Shangxin at the entrance of the ladies' washroom and asked, "Are you all right?" "No problem," Jiang Shangxin replied. She waved her hands and walked toward the washroom unsteadily. Fang Yan wanted to turn around and leave, leaving this woman to fend for herself. However, he was a little worried. He had injured so many people in the underground boxing arena just now, and only God knew if there would be some extreme fellows who would come after him and do something as revenge. If they really did anything to Jiang Shangxin, he wouldn't feel good about it either. "I will go back after sending her away," Fang Yan thought to himself. The washroom of the bar was very luxuriously decorated. When Fang Yan was combing his hair in front of the bronze mirror outside the washroom, A woman's scream suddenly sounded from the ladies' washroom. Ah! Fang Yan was shocked and rushed out of the washroom hurriedly. Chapter 549. There was a huge difference between the men's and ladies' toilets. Of course, there would be some differences. What worried Fang Yan the most was that he couldn't find any trace of Jiang Shangxin. Could someone be lying in ambush to harm Jiang Shangxin? Wasn't this enemy too good at scheming? Fang Yan couldn't be bothered anymore. He pushed open the cubicles of the toilet and tried to find her. Jiang Shangxin. Jiang Shangxin. When Fang Yan pushed open a cubicle, a fair and tender arm suddenly reached out and pulled him out. When Fang Yan was about to counterattack, he smelled a familiar perfume. He had hugged Jiang Shangxin for almost half the night and was very familiar with her scent. Jiang Shangxin. Just as Fang Yan was about to ask what was going on, Jiang Shangxin's body had already fallen toward Fang Yan. Fang Yan reached out to support her, but Jiang Shangxin had already reached out to hug Fang Yan's neck. The alluring smell of wheat became stronger and stronger. Shangxin's red lips blocked Fang Yan's lips. She kissed him passionately and explored Fang Yan's body. She panted and mumbled. Fang Yan wants me. Fang Yan wants me. Wants you? Wants you for what? Fang Yan couldn't react in time. What was this woman trying to do? Why did she want to sacrifice herself to seduce him? Is there a camera installed in the toilet? Were they trying to ruin his reputation to defeat him? These people's hearts were truly too vicious. Bam! Fang Yan exerted his strength and pushed Shangxin's body over. Jiang Shangxin, what exactly are you trying to do? Fang Yan shouted angrily. What kind of person do you think I am? I think you are a man. Jiang Shangxin panted as she spoke. Under the illumination of the lights outside, her eyes sparkled and shone with a bewitching glow. I don't want anything. I want you to do something. What do you want me to do? Fang Yan was very vigilant. Every question he asked was very careful. What do you think? Jiang Shangxin pounced toward Fang Yan once again. She hugged Fang Yan's body, and her hot kiss once again drowned Fang Yan's rationality. Fang Yan finally calmed himself down. After hesitating for a while, he finally decided to reject Shangxin. Only then did he reach out to push Shangxin away. So soft. He pushed in the wrong position. Fang Yan hurriedly retracted his lecherous hands. Grabbing onto Jiang Shangxin's arms, he shouted. That's enough, Jiang Shangxin, stop now. Stop talking too. Let's have a good talk. You don't like me? It's not that I don't like it, but it's not that I like it. You know, we've only known each other for a short time, and we've only met a few times. I don't know you very well, and you don't know me very well either. I know you won't like me, at least not now. Jiang Shangxin said. But I think you should at least like me. Don't all men like coquettish women? Don't you think I'm coquettish enough? I think you're already very coquettish. I just feel that I'm not a casual person. Let go of me first. Don't be rash. Jiang Shangxin's eyes started to turn misty. She stared at Fang Yan and asked, You think I'm dirty? I don't mean that. Why would I think you're dirty? You're clean, and the perfume you use smells good. I just feel that we don't have to do this. Fang Yan persuaded her seriously. Fang Yan, do you believe me? I've fallen in love with you, Jiang Shangxin said. The lyrics of a song came to Fang Yan's mind. Love comes too fast, like a tornado can't leave the circle of the storm in time. I can't think anymore. I can't think anymore. I can't. Jay Cho was right, Fang Yan really couldn't. I know you won't believe it, and I find it hard to believe too. Do you remember the first time we met? I remember. Fang Yan nodded. When I went to the hospital, the security guard didn't let me in. You helped me inform the security guard. At that time, I thought that this woman was quite kind. I knew you before I came to Huaqing. Jiang Shangxin said. I wanted to see what kind of person could steal the woman that Jiang Zhulu liked. At that time, Jiang Zhulu was still very important in my heart. Because you know me. That's why you helped me out? Even if I didn't know you, I would still help you, Jiang Shangxin said. Because it was just a matter of a sentence. Our family education taught us to know when and what to do to establish a good image of ourselves. Of course, I didn't have any good feelings for you at that time. When I saw you and Jiang Zhulu walking together, I didn't like you very much either. I feel that you and Jiang Zhulu are the same kind of person, and Jiang Zhulu happens to be the kind of person that I hate very much. Fang Yan, how dark must a person's heart be to be able to lay a murderous hand on his wife's father? I can't answer this question. Fang Yan said, because I've never thought of such a thing. I know that you've been guarding against me. From the moment I appeared in front of you, you've been worried that I would set a trap. Fang Yan smiled and said, I've been bullied so often that I'm really scared. But to me, tonight is the happiest day I've had in all these years. I've never trusted someone so much, and I've never relied on someone so much. It feels so good to be able to say whatever I want. It feels so good to be able to scold whoever I want and not have to worry about being found out. Do you think that I threw the wine bottle at the stage because I was drunk? I know your skills, and I know that the gorilla can't possibly defeat you. I just wanted to enjoy the feeling of being protected. I know that you will definitely protect me. I also thought of pretending that I don't know you. Fang Yan, you won't. Jiang Shangxin said, you're too smart, so you won't do such a stupid thing. You know that I'm here to look for you to represent a chance, so you won't let me be bullied. You won't let me be hurt. I'm not a particularly complicated man. Fang Yan's explanation was rather weak. I just can't bear to see a man bully a woman. Even so, I'm still very happy. I'm happy to see you stand up for me. Happy to see you want to take me away, and even happy to see you fight for me. Do you think I'm very perverted? I know men like kind-hearted women, but I don't care whether the gorilla's arm is injured or not. I don't even care if he's dead or alive. How can a woman like me care about an insignificant guy's life or death? When you refused the old man's request for a duel, I felt that I was about to fall in love with you. When you said that if I wanted to leave, who could make me stay, I felt that I had already fallen in love with you. Women have the genes to attach themselves to the strong. A soft woman hopes to find a man with a strong character, and a strong woman hopes to find a more domineering man to conquer her. I've never seen such a man's charm. Even when you held me in your arms and fought with the crowd, I didn't feel the slightest bit nervous. I just hoped that it wouldn't stop, and that it wouldn't end so quickly. Unfortunately, the opponent was too weak, and the battle ended too quickly. Fang Yan, what I've experienced tonight is something that I've never experienced before. I have everything. I have a luxury car, I have a mansion, I have an endless amount of money, and I have a family background that people admire and look up to. But I just want to be like other women and enjoy my man selflessly sacrificing himself for me, fighting with others to protect me. Fang Yan, only you can fulfill my wish. Tell me, what reason do I have not to fall in love with you? I know that I'm very outstanding. Fang Yan tried hard to choose his words and said, but this kind of thing is not up to me to control. I didn't come here to seduce you with ulterior motives. I was born with a face that could easily make people fall in love with me. Jiang Shangxin looked at Fang Yan seriously. She really wanted to know how this man could say such a thing with a serious face. I can understand your feelings and I sympathize with your situation. Fang Yan also looked into Jiang Shangxin's eyes and said, but our relationship doesn't need to be maintained by this kind of thing. Fang Yan, I won't let you take responsibility. If I do it, I want to take responsibility, Fang Yan said. If you insist on taking responsibility. But I don't want to take responsibility for you. So, it's better not to do it. Otherwise, you'll be in a dilemma. Fang Yan took out a tissue from his pocket and carefully wiped the tears from the corners of Jiang Shangxin's eyes. He said, my father has been gone for 3 years, but this matter still seems like it happened yesterday. I can understand how you feel at this moment. I really do understand. If you need my help, you can call my number. I believe that it won't be difficult for you to get my number. From tonight onward, we will be friends. Life is not easy, but we still have to grit our teeth and persevere. Because no one knows if there will be a turning point waiting for us. Fang Yan patted Jiang Shangxin's shoulder like an old friend, opened the door of the cubicle, and turned to leave. Jiang Shangxin's back leaned against the wall of the toilet weakly, and her body fell limply to the ground. She squatted on the ground and covered her face with her hands. Big drops of tears flowed out from the gaps between her slender fingers. I've already taken so much initiative, but that man remained unmoved. So embarrassing. Chapter 550. Screech. The black Mercedes-Benz stopped at the entrance of the courtyard house. Li Yin opened the door and got off. She carried her handbag and quickly walked inside. There were two old men playing chess in the courtyard. They didn't even look at her when she came in. Li Yin knew that they were bodyguards brought by Jiang Junling from Beijing. They had high status and extraordinary strength. It was said that they could tell if a person was in danger from the sound of their footsteps. Li Yin walked to the door of the main room and pushed it open. Jiang Junling was sitting on the sofa in the living room and drinking tea. He was reading a novel with great interest. Li Yin walked to the general's side and sat down. She filled his teacup with tea and asked with a smile, "What are you reading, General?" Zheng Guofan's Ice Mirror. Jiang Junling said with a smile. Some people say that Zheng Guofan, a famous minister of the Qing dynasty, had 13 sets of knowledge. Only one set has been passed down. In fact, there are 2 sets. The other is Zheng Guofan's fortune-telling knowledge Ice Mirror. I don't like family letters and I don't read anyone's. But I like Ice Mirror. Jiang Junling closed the book in his hand and said, Zheng Guofan also has a set of fortune-telling mnemonics. Evil depends on the eyes and nose. True or false depends on the lips. Fame depends on one's spirit. Wealth depends on one's spirit. Ideas depend on the fingers and claws. Disturbances depend on the feet. If you want to see the order, it's all in the language. Auntie, how about I help you read your fortune? Li Yin's mind raced. She wondered why Jiang Junling called her so late at night. In the past, he would personally visit her place if there was anything to discuss with her to show his respect for her. But today he was different. This change was quite obvious. Also, why did he want to read her fortune? Li Yin smiled and said, It's a military order. Don't laugh at me. I'm old and my fate is set. I'm just guarding the shop and tidying up the house for you old generals. What's there to look at? Those are your men's business. Jiang Junling smiled and said, That's not necessarily true. Some people are noble because of their mother, and some are noble because of their son. Maybe Sister Li is noble because she has a good daughter. Who can say for sure what happens in life? Li Yin was shocked and asked anxiously, Military orders, did Shangxin get into trouble? Jiang Junling picked up the teacup and took a sip. After he carefully savored the fragrance of the premium white tea, he smiled and said, Shangxin has been obedient since she was young. How could she have caused any trouble? Auntie, don't worry. Jiang Junling told Li Yin not to worry, but Li Yin became even more worried. She cautiously looked at Jiang Junling and asked, Military orders. Although your 4th uncle is no longer here, it doesn't change the fact that we are still a family. What I eat, what I wear, what I use, everything I have is given to me by the Jiang family. If there's anything, don't hide it from me. You must tell me immediately. Shangxin is too young, and she has been through too much during this period of time. Especially her father's death. A sharp ray of light flashed past Jiang Junling's eyes, but he returned to his gentle and indifferent smile. Li Yin acted as if she didn't know what had happened and said worriedly, I'm really afraid that this child will fall sick if she continues like this. I'm thinking of letting her rest abroad for a period of time. General Ling nodded and said, You've had a good rest. She should have a good rest. Let's go to France and stay there for 2 years. Of course, we can't just do nothing. Our Jiang family isn't a good-for-nothing who only knows how to eat and work. Let her study in France. She can also help me with some things when she comes back. Li Yin nodded and said, Thank you for the military orders. Only you, as her brother, would treat her well sincerely. I will make the arrangements and send her to France as soon as possible. Jiang Junling nodded and took a paper bag from the coffee table in front of him. He handed it over and said, There are a few photos inside. Feel free to flip through them when you have nothing to do. Li Yin took the paper bag and was about to open it when Jiang Junling glanced over and said, Auntie, it's getting late. You should go back and rest. Li Yin closed the paper bag and said, All right, I'll go back first. The military orders to rest early as well. Young people shouldn't stay up too late. When Li Yin walked into the courtyard, the two old men were still playing chess. She could only see their hands moving, but not the sound of a chess piece landing. The autumn night was slightly chilly, so it probably wouldn't affect them at all. Li Yin entered the car and opened the bag with the help of the lights in the car. There were a few photos in the bag. They were photos of Shangxin lying in the arms of a man. When she flipped to the last photo and saw the man's face clearly, her face instantly turned as white as a sheet. She took a few deep breaths and suppressed the anger in her heart. She took out her cell phone from the bag and dialed a number. Then, she said in an extremely calm voice, "Shangxin, make a trip home. I have something to discuss with you." Li Yin started the car engine. The car rumbled as it sped into the boundless night. Jiang Zhulu walked out of the room and looked at Jiang Junling. "Master, are we going to let this matter go?" Jiang Junling looked at Jiang Zhulu and asked with a smile, "Can we let this matter go?" Jiang Zhulu muttered to himself for a long time and said, "To be honest, I don't feel very good about it. I think any man who had experienced something like this would probably feel the same way as me. I can understand." Jiang Junling nodded and said. He stood up and patted Jiang Zhulu's shoulder. "I'm completely on your side on this matter." "Thank you, Master." Jiang Zhulu smiled and said. "But Zhulu, even though Shangxin is the daughter of the Jiang family, she is now the daughter-in-law of the Jiang family. There are some things that require both of you to communicate properly. As her brother, I can't say too much, right?" Jiang Zhulu nodded and said, "I understand. Sorry to trouble you this time." Jiang Junling walked toward the backyard and said, "Go back and rest early. I'm tired too." "Goodbye, Master." Jiang Zhulu smiled as he sent him off. When Jiang Shangxin returned home, his mother, Li Yin, was sitting in the living room looking at a report. Jiang Shangxin walked to Li Yin and sat down. He asked, "Did Jiang Junling ask you to speak to me on his behalf? I thought he would talk to me personally." Li Yin tidied up the report in her hands and placed it on the table. She looked at Jiang Shangxin and asked, "Since you had already predicted this outcome, why did you still do such a thing?" "What did I do?" Jiang Shangxin asked in return. Li Yin frowned slightly and said, "Shangxin, you are a married woman and Jiang Zhuliu's woman. Your marriage was approved by the old master of the Jiang family. Now that you are in the arms of another man, where do you want the Jiang family's reputation to be?" Jiang Shangxin looked at Li Yin with reddened eyes and said, "Mom, you keep asking me about the reputation of the Jiang family. What would the old master think if he knew about it? What would he do if Jiang Junling became prejudiced against us? But have you ever thought about my feelings? They are the people who killed my father, and I still have to call them brother and hubby. I did it, but I am really tired. I am so tired, I just want to talk to someone. That's all. If not, I will go crazy." Li Yin's eyes turned red as she watched her daughter cry. She went forward and hugged her daughter. She said gently, "Shangxin, I know you feel wronged. But it's fine if you say it in front of me. I have already asked Secretary Li to help you get a visa to study in France. You can leave tomorrow." "Mom, this is what they want," Li Yin said firmly. "This is also what I want." When Fang Yin returned home, Lu Chaoge was reading a book on the sofa in the living room. The sounds of Qin Ying and Fang Yingying fighting and shouting could be heard from the backyard. Ever since Fang Yingying and Fang Haohan came, Qin Ying's second spring in martial arts training had been awakened. When Qin Ying fought with Fang Yan, there was almost no chance of him winning. It was a kind of suppression that made one feel hopeless. However, when he fought with Fang Yingying, he was still full of fighting spirit even though he lost more than he won. As long as he had the time, he would drag Fang Yingying into a few rounds. Lu Chaoge put down the fashion magazine in her hands. She looked at Fang Yan, who was walking over, and asked, "Have you eaten?" Fang Yan thought for a while and said, "I think I haven't eaten yet." Lu Chaoge quickly stood up and said, "I'll make a bowl of noodles for you." "No need." Fang Yan pressed Lu Chaoge's shoulders and didn't let her get up. He said, "You've already taken a bath, haven't you?" Lu Chaoge's cheeks suddenly turned pink. She said, "Why do you ask this?" She thought of the embarrassing scene when she was lying on the ground and couldn't move, and Fang Yan suddenly rushed in from the balcony. Seeing Lu Chaoga's embarrassed expression, Fang Yan realized that his question might cause others to misunderstand. He quickly explained, "I didn't mean that. I just wanted to say that you've already taken a bath, so don't make yourself smell like oil. I'll go make a bowl of noodles myself. You sit down." Lu Chaoga nodded and looked straight at the red mark on Fang Yan's neck. She asked, "What's wrong with your neck?" Neck. Fang Yan reached out and touched it. He didn't find anything strange. He took out his cell phone from his pocket and turned on the selfie function. He immediately realized the seriousness of the problem. When he was pulled into the toilet by Jiang Shangxin seemed to have kissed his neck. As a result, a red lipstick mark was left on his Adam's apple. This. Fang Yan tried hard to stay calm and said, "Maybe I was bitten by a mosquito. It's okay. I'll just go upstairs and apply some toilet water." Lu Chaoga sighed softly. She took out a wet wipe from the tissue box on the table and walked to Fang Yan. She carefully wiped the lipstick mark on Fang Yan's neck with the wet wipe and said, "If you have a social engagement outside, remember to check your appearance when you come back. Otherwise, your wife will misunderstand." Oh. Chapter 551. A bowl of cold noodles and a few side dishes. This was the dinner that Fang Yan had prepared for himself. On his way home from work, Jiang Shangxin intercepted him and dragged him to the bar. He quarreled with others and fought with them. In the end, he was almost molested by her. Everything that he had done was simply too exhausting for him. However, on the way home, Fang Yan did not feel hungry at all. He was still digesting the scene that had just happened at the bar. Jiang Shangxin's figure was really good, her breasts were really soft, her body was really fragrant, her mouth was really sweet, and her tongue was really nimble. Of course, his was not bad either. Furthermore, women who acted coquettishly were the most troublesome. Jiang Shangxin's delicate and alluring appearance was indeed tempting and captivating. However, that was a woman from the Jiang family, Jiang Zhuliu's wife. One could not take advantage of a friend's wife, but one could ride on an enemy's wife? I can't, Fang Yan screamed in his heart. He poured sesame seeds, poured chili sauce, and mixed chopped green onions and coriander. Fang Yan slurped down half a bowl of noodles in one go. He drank a mouthful of water and digested it for a few minutes. He lowered his head and quickly finished the remaining half of the bowl of noodles. Fang Yan took out a tissue to wipe his mouth. As he drank the water, he told Lu Chaoga about what had happened when Jiang Shangxin intercepted him. To Fang Yan, Lu Chaoga was a woman that he trusted wholeheartedly. There were some things that he could not even tell Yuan Rou, but he could tell them to Lu Chaoga. Of course, he emphasized on Jiang Shangxin's conflicted and painful inner world and tragic experience. As for the part where Jiang Shangxin seduced and forced him, he simply mentioned that there was a kiss mark on my neck because Jiang Shangxin had kissed me forcefully. However, he was a person with strong self-control and would not allow himself to be taken away so easily. It had to be said that teacher Fang Yan was a man full of integrity. After listening to Fang Yan's story, Lu Chaoga had a sad expression on her face. She said softly, "It wasn't easy for her to be born in such a family. There are some things that men take for granted, but it's too difficult for women. It's not easy. The rich and powerful are as deep as the sea. Some small fish and shrimps are just food for the big sharks. They don't have any chance or ability to resist fate. What do you want to do?" Lu Chaoga turned around and asked Fang Yan. Fang Yan smiled and said, "It should be what she wants to do. You know, this matter is not up to me. I hope she can be braver," Lu Chaoga said. Fang Yan nodded and said, "Just like you back then. I don't want her to be like me." Lu Chaoga shook her head and said, "I've sacrificed too much." Fang Yan sighed and patted Lu Chaoga's shoulder lightly. He said, "With me around, things will get better in the future." Clang. Fang Yingying pushed open the back door and walked in. When he saw Lu Chaoga in Fang Yan's arms, he quickly covered his eyes and shouted, I didn't see anything. Lu Chaoga got up from Fang Yan's arms and tidied her hair and clothes. Fang Yan stared at Fang Yingying coldly and said, "Get in here." Thus, Fang Yingying lay on the ground and rolled toward the living room. He was like a meatball. Fang Yingying rolled until he was in front of Fang Yan before he got up. He looked at Fang Yan with a flattering expression and said, "Junior Martial Uncle, I want to discuss something with you. I knew you had something to ask of me." "Junior Martial Uncle, it's not a request, it's a discussion." "Say it, what is it?" Fang Yan asked. "Can you give me a day off tomorrow?" Fang Yan looked at Lu Chaoga and asked, "What do you want to do?" "I called and asked, Sun Li has a day off tomorrow. I want to take a day off to treat her to a meal." Fang Yingying lowered his head and said shyly, "Go ahead," Lu Chaoga said. "I'm resting at home tomorrow, I won't be going to the company." "Thank you, Sister Lu," Fang Yingying shouted excitedly. "Sister Lu, there's something else I want to discuss with you." "What is it?" "Can I borrow your BMW tomorrow?" "I'm using that car," Fang Yan said angrily. "This bastard, he dares to steal my car?" Lu Chaoga thought about it and said, "That BMW is used by your martial uncle." "Then forget it," Fang Yingying said regretfully. "But you can use my GMC RV or Ferrari. There's a red Ferrari in the garage. I think the color is too dazzling, so I haven't driven it much. If you like, you can drive it out." "Thank you, Sister Lu, you're really my sister." Fang Yingying was so excited that he wanted to hug Lu Chaoga, but after noticing Fang Yan's murderous look, he quickly turned around and hugged Fang Yan tightly in his arms. "Junior Martial Uncle, you're really my junior martial uncle. Let go." "Oh." Fang Yingying let go of Fang Yan's shoulders and said, "Junior Martial Uncle, there's a fragrance on you. It's a woman's fragrance. Strange, it's not Sister Lu's scent. Sister Lu doesn't use perfume. I feel a little bloated, hero, come out with me to digest your food." Fang Yingying turned around and ran away. The flight to France was at 8 in the morning, which made Jiang Shangxin's heart turn cold. How much did they hate her that they were so anxious to send her overseas? Jiang Shangxin didn't sleep the entire night, and dragged her luggage out of the house at 5 in the morning. Since it was inevitable to leave, what was there to miss? It was better to leave. This city made her feel suffocated. The sky was still dark, and there was a faint silhouette of the moon in the sky. The chauffeur was waiting in the courtyard, and when he saw Jiang Shangxin come out, he quickly ran over to help drag the luggage and said with a smile, "Miss, the chairman asked me to send you to the airport." Jiang Shangxin originally wanted to reject him. Since things had already been done to such an extent, what was the point of such a small favor? However, she couldn't even be bothered to reject him. She allowed the chauffeur to place the luggage in the trunk, then opened the car door and invited her into the car. After Shangxin entered the car, she closed her eyes, and only then did she feel tired. After talking to her mother, she started to pack her luggage in the room. Actually, there weren't many pieces of luggage. To them, everything could be used as replacements, so why would they need to carry it all the way to Paris? A few sets of clothes and a little bear. She searched carefully and realized that the little bear was actually one of the few items that her father, Fengxing, had left for her. Her father had given it to her on her 8th birthday. He said that he had bought it as a present because he saw that the little bear resembled her. At that time, she was very unhappy and felt that she didn't resemble the little bear at all. She was so beautiful, but why was she just a little bear in her father's eyes? Now that she saw it, she realized that her father was right. She was a bear, an unlucky bear. "Miss, do you want to listen to music?" the chauffeur asked gently. Jiang Shangxin didn't reply. She didn't want to talk. Even though she knew that it was rude to be angry with the chauffeur, and that it went against her upbringing, she just didn't want to talk. The chauffeur didn't speak anymore, and started the car slowly when he didn't get a reply from Jiang Shangxin. When the car drove out of the courtyard, the curtains of a bedroom on the 2nd floor were pulled open, and a black figure appeared in the middle of the window. "Shangxin, don't blame me," Li Yun sighed softly. "I know that this kind of life is too hard for you, but what you are doing is too dangerous. Go out, go far away, and never come back." Huaqing was still very empty and quiet in the morning. The journey from the villa area in the Dongjiang district to the airport was especially smooth, and they didn't encounter many cars. There wasn't even a single pedestrian. Once they drove out of the coastal road, they would reach the airport directly after getting on the highway. The car had just entered the highway when Jiang Shangxin, who had been resting with her eyes closed, suddenly opened her eyes. Go back. Jiang Shangxin said. Miss. The chauffeur was in a difficult position. If we go back now, we will miss the flight. I said go back. Jiang Shangxin said with a firm attitude. Her tone was also getting worse. Miss, the chairman asked me to send you to the airport. Jiang Shangxin sneered and said. She sent you to monitor me on my way to the airport, right? Miss, you are putting me in a difficult position. You are the one who is putting me in a difficult position. Jiang Shangxin suddenly raised her voice. I said go back. Go back immediately. If not, I will open the car door and jump out. The chauffeur quickly locked all the car doors to prevent Shangxin from going crazy and jumping out of the car. Do you think I can't get out like this? Do you think I can't come back because of this? So what if you send me to the airport? So what if you send me to Paris? Jiang Shangxin said with a face full of disdain. Go back. Turn the car back. The chauffeur drove the car forward and at the same time, he took out his cell phone and dialed a number. Chairman, Miss wants to go back. Pass the phone to her. Li Yun's voice came from the phone. The chauffeur passed the cell phone over and said, Miss, the chairman wants you to answer the phone. Jiang Shangxin took the cell phone from him and smashed it against the car window. Crack. The cell phone was smashed into pieces, but there was only a light scratch on the car window. This was Li Yun's car, and it was a custom-made bulletproof car from Ford. Not to mention this degree of damage, even bullets and ordinary bombs would not be able to open it. Jiang Shangxin stared at the chauffeur with reddened eyes and shouted with all her strength, Go back. Screech. The chauffeur slammed on the brakes and the car stopped at the side of the highway. The chauffeur unfastened the seatbelt and turned to look at Jiang Shangxin with a smile. He said, Miss, you can either go to Paris or go to hell. What's your choice? The chauffeur held a gun in his hand and aimed it at Jiang Shangxin's head. Chapter 552. What did it mean to be utterly disheartened? It was how Jiang Shangxin was feeling at this moment. She widened her eyes and stared at the chauffeur in disbelief. She looked at the gun that the chauffeur was pointing at her head. She could not believe that her mother's chauffeur would point a gun at her just because she did not want to go to Paris. Or rather, if she insisted on not going, he would really use this gun to send her to hell. Go to heaven or hell. Is this what a mother is supposed to say to her children? Her mother, the woman who kept saying that she loved her. Was this how she treated her? Even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. What else could she do to make people feel hopeless? It was getting harder and harder to breathe. She clenched her fists so tightly that her fingernails dug into her flesh and started to bleed. Jiang Shangxin tried her best not to cry. She was a high and mighty missy. How could she cry in front of a chauffeur? However, it was still difficult for her to stop her eyes from turning red and gradually becoming moist. She clenched her teeth and gave herself some courage, but her voice was still trembling. She stared at the chauffeur and said, Was this also her order? Miss, I have said that you are putting me in a difficult position. A woman like you is like a reincarnated fairy from heaven. You have taken all the good things. What else is there to be dissatisfied about? There are some things that you have to turn a blind eye to. Isn't it great if you brush me off and I brush you off? Why do you have to find trouble for yourself and others? Jiang Shangxin ignored the chauffeur's advice and stared at him. If I did not go to Paris, would you really shoot me? That's right. The chauffeur nodded. I have said that I will either go to Paris or hell. What does she take me for? What does she take me for? Jiang Shangxin muttered to herself. The truth was right in front of her, but she was still unwilling to believe it. She could not believe that the only person she could rely on in this world, her closest family, would treat her in this way. Miss, why do you have to put the chairman in a difficult position? The chauffeur sighed. I am afraid that she cannot make the decision for some things. You mean that my mother did not ask you to do this to me? Jiang Shangxin shouted agitatedly. Her heart was suddenly filled with joy and happiness. This was really a ridiculous thing. It was the same thing, and she was also being pointed at her head. However, as long as the mastermind was not her own mother, she had 10,000 reasons to be happy. because if that was the case, she would have completely lost all hope in this world. The driver sighed and said, Miss, your question is really unnecessary. You are a member of the Jiang family. The chairman is also a member of the Jiang family. How can I not be a member of the Jiang family? We are all members of the Jiang family. The Jiang family. Jiang Shangxin instantly understood. The driver was someone from the Jiang family. He was a chess piece that Jiang Junling or someone else from the Jiang family had placed by Li Yun's side. However, his mother had been cautious all her life. How could she have made such a huge mistake? Her most trusted driver was Jiang Jiejia, an undercover agent sent by Jiang Jiejia. Aren't you afraid? Jiang Shangxin looked at the chauffeur and asked. Scared? What are you afraid of? Aren't you afraid that my mom will fire you for exposing your identity in front of me? Are you going to fire him? The driver grinned. There was a hint of disdain and sympathy in his smile. Miss, do you think that the chairman doesn't know my identity? Do you think that she has never suspected me before? However, with the chairman's intelligence, even if she knows my real identity, she will pretend that nothing has happened. Not only that, she will also get closer to me and trust me. This is her style of doing things. Miss, do you think that's the case? Jiang Shangxin was speechless. She knew that the chauffeur was right. Even if her mother knew that the chauffeur was an undercover agent, she would still keep this secret to herself. Otherwise, what else could she do? If she made a big fuss, the Jiang family would only think that she was an idiot. If she fired the chauffeur, the family would be even more wary of her and plant more spies around her. Everything and everyone was under the control of the Jiang family. The Jiang family was like a huge net that covered the top of one's head. While it provided protection, one could not break free from their shackles. Miss, have you made your choice? The chauffeur looked at Jiang Shangxin and asked. To the airport. Jiang Shangxin replied. The chauffeur grinned again and said, Thank you, miss, for understanding the difficulties of servants like us. The chauffeur kept the gun in his hand and was about to start the engine to send Jiang Shangxin to the airport when the phone in his pocket rang. When he picked up the call, his expression turned serious and he said, Understood, I will wait for you by the roadside. Who is coming over? Jiang Shangxin asked anxiously. The chauffeur smiled and said, Miss, you will know very soon. Jiang Shangxin knew that the chauffeur was an undercover agent and that he would not care about her identity. She did not have the mood to continue asking. She looked like she was asking to be humiliated. After waiting quietly for a few minutes, a black Mercedes-Benz approached slowly. The Mercedes-Benz stopped by the roadside. The back door opened, and a familiar face appeared in front of Jiang Shangxin. Bam! The car door opened, and the cool morning breeze swept in. Jiang Shangxin could not help but wrap the sweater around her body. She could feel the chill of autumn. Jiang Zhulu sat beside Jiang Shangxin. When he saw that Jiang Shangxin was holding onto the collar of the sweater, he smiled and said, The weather is getting cold, you must take care of yourself. You must take good care of yourself when you are out alone. Jiang Shangxin stared at Jiang Zhulu warily and asked, What are you doing here? Jiang Zhulu laughed and said, Shangxin, do you know that your question is very cute? I don't know. Jiang Zhulu reached out to grab Jiang Shangxin's petite hand and forcefully pulled it away. Jiang Zhulu grabbed it again. When Jiang Shangxin wanted to pull it away again, Jiang Zhulu exerted force, and Shangxin's palm seemed to be clamped down by an iron clamp. It hurts. Jiang Zhulu, let go of me. Jiang Shangxin shouted. Jiang Zhulu lifted the back of Shangxin's hand to the corner of his lips and kissed it. Chuckling, he said, Shangxin, you are my wife, my legitimate wife. If you can hug and hug other men, what's wrong with us holding hands as a married couple? Since Jiang Zhulu had taken the initiative to speak, Jiang Shangxin no longer had any reservations. She stared at Jiang Zhulu fiercely and said, Are you here to vent your anger? Do you feel that you have been betrayed? What anger? I just feel that as a husband, I should send my wife off since she is going overseas. Otherwise, wouldn't it seem like I am too heartless? Should I say thank you? Silly girl, why would a family say thank you? Jiang Zhulu reached out a finger and touched the tip of Jiang Shangxin's nose. He said, However, you didn't even inform your husband that you are going overseas. If someone didn't tell me, I wouldn't even know about this. Aren't you being too disrespectful to your husband? Isn't this what you guys want? Jiang Shangxin said with a face full of sarcasm. We? Who are we? Jiang Zhulu smiled and asked. Jiang Shangxin knew that she had misspoken. If it was in the past, she would have explained that she had said it unintentionally. However, she felt that there was no need to do so now. You know better than me who we are. It seems like you are filled with indignation. Jiang Zhulu smiled and said. What about you? Jiang Shangxin stared at Jiang Zhulu with a piercing gaze and said. You gave away half of the Jiang family's assets, and you crawled at the feet of the general's order like a dog. Jiang Zhulu, where's your pride? Where is your dignity as a man? It doesn't feel good to be a dog, does it? Jiang Zhulu glanced at the chauffeur and said, Please wait outside. I have some private things to say to my wife. The chauffeur didn't reject him. He pushed the car door open and walked out. It does feel bad. Jiang Zhulu looked at Jiang Shangxin and said. His handsome features were slightly distorted. His eyes were sunken and bloodshot. During the time when his father was away, his life had indeed not been smooth. Although he had tried his best to prop up the Jiang family was no longer the Jiang family from before. As for the four big families in Huaqing, no one would take the Jiang family into account anymore, right? If I could be a human, who would be willing to be a dog? Jiang Zhuliu's lips curled up, but it wasn't the arrogant and sunny smile he used to have. It was mockery and self-denial. But, what should I do if I don't want to be a dog? My father has walked a dead end, and left me with such a mess. What should I do if I don't cling to the Jiang family? Will Fangyan let me off? Will Lu Chaoga let me off? Will Lanshan Valley let me off? And Lu Shu, he is also a dog. He is a mad dog kept by Fangyan. Will he let me off? Jiang Shangxin, who am I? I am Jiang Zhulu, one of the four young masters in Huaqing. I am the smartest man in Huaqing. Why do I have to bow down to another man? Why do I have to suck up to another man? Why do I have to live like a dog? It is for the Jiang family, for me, and for you. Jiang Zhulu stuffed one of Shangxin's fingers into his mouth, and sucked it gently with his tongue. He said, Shangxin, why can't you understand? Why can't you understand my painstaking efforts? Ah! Jiang Zhulu exerted force with his teeth, causing Shangxin to let out a shrill scream. Fresh blood flowed out of Jiang Zhulio's mouth, staining his chin and the white shirt he was wearing. Chapter 553. Ah! Even though the walls of the car were soundproof, Lu Jiang could still hear Shangxin's screams. Lu Jiang frowned slightly and wondered if Jiang Zhulu was in a hurry to commit murder on the side of the highway because his wife had cheated on him. Of course, even if Jiang Zhulu really did that, Lu Jiang would not jump out with a sense of justice. Jiang Zhulu was highly regarded by Jiang Junling, and was also the most handy chess piece for Jiang Junling to fight against Fangyan and Huaqing. What if Jiang Zhulio's actions were secretly instructed by Jiang Junling? People like them were already blind and deaf. They had sold half of their souls to the god of fortune, and the other half to the devil. There was only one word in their dictionary: loyalty. There were few cars on the highway. Occasionally, a car would flash its headlights and pass by them. However, it was just a quick glance and they did not know what was happening here. Lu Jiang could not see clearly what was happening in the car, and he did not want to know too much. Sometimes, knowing the truth was a burden, and a burden meant trouble. Son of a bitch, he cursed in a low voice. He took out a pack of cigarettes from his pocket and lit it up. Then he walked in the opposite direction of the airport. He was probably not needed here anymore, right? Pain. It was a heart-wrenching pain. It was not an exaggeration to say that the fingers were linked to the heart. The pain spread from the finger to the heart, and then to the rest of her body. Jiang Shangxin's body trembled violently. She felt that the bone of her index finger must have been bitten off by Jiang Zhulu. Jiang Shangxin did not dare to struggle because her finger was still in Jiang Zhulio's mouth. His 2 rows of teeth were like 2 rows of nails that pierced deeply into the flesh and bone of her finger. She also tried to pull her finger out, but it was impossible to do so other than bringing unbearable pain to her. Unless she was willing to pull her finger off and give it to Jiang Zhulu for breakfast. Looking at how he was greedily drinking blood, he must be extremely hungry. Let go of me. Jiang Zhulu, let go of me. Jiang Shangxin clenched her teeth and perspired profusely. She had been pampered since she was young and had bodyguards protecting her. Even a cold or fever was a big deal. She had never suffered such pain before. She felt like she was going to die. She really wished that she was already dead. Let you go? How can I bear to let you off? Jiang Zhulu bit Jiang Shangxin's finger as a sinister smile appeared on his face. Shangxin, I love you so much. I love you more than I love Lu Chaoga. How could I let you go just like that? I know you despise me now. I know you hate me to the core. You want to eat my flesh and drink my blood. Who asked me to kill my father-in-law with my own hands? However, Shangxin, I truly love you. I pursued Lu Chaoga because I needed the integrity of the Longtu group. I needed her to never be able to open her mouth and say that she wanted to split the Longtu group into two. That was the protection of interests, not for myself, but for the glory of the Jiang family. But Shangxin, I have really fallen in love with you. Don't you think it's ridiculous? Even you can't believe it, right? Jiang Zhulu was such a selfish ghost, such a hypocrite, such a perverted killer. How could he fall in love with a woman? How could he possibly entrust his heart to a woman? Jiang Shangxin stared at Jiang Zhulu in disbelief. At that moment, she even forgot about the wounds and pain on her body. Jiang Zhulu had really fallen in love with her? Jiang Zhulu came to confess to her? When the pain hit her like a tidal wave again, Jiang Shangxin's mental state returned to normal. She stared at Jiang Zhulu with gritted teeth and sneered. Jiang Zhulu, you are really a piece of trash. You still have the cheek to tell me that you love me at this stage? If you love me, would you kill my father? Which man in this world would treat his wife's father like this? Is this how you show your love? Jiang Zhulu was finally willing to spit out Jiang Shangxin's finger. Jiang Shangxin's arm was trembling, and the joints of her finger were badly mutilated. The pain was unbearable, and she didn't know if the bones inside were broken. Jiang Shangxin carefully retracted her finger, afraid that Jiang Zhulu would touch it again. Even she didn't dare to touch it. Jiang Zhulu took out a white handkerchief from his pocket and said, "Wrap it up." Jiang Shangxin looked at Jiang Zhulu as if she was looking at a devil. He had just bitten her finger until it bled like a demonic beast, but in the blink of an eye, he turned into a passionate man who took out a handkerchief and asked her to wrap it up. Tell me, if a man like this isn't a pervert, what kind of man can be called a pervert? When Jiang Zhulu saw that Shangxin was staring at him with her eyes wide open, but did not reach out to take the silk handkerchief from him, Jiang Zhulu reached out and pulled Shangxin's injured hand over to him. With a pitiful voice he said, "When will you learn to take care of yourself?" Jiang Shangxin leaned toward the car door with all her might and said, "Don't touch me, don't touch me." However, she wasn't as strong as Jiang Zhulu, and that hand was hers. She didn't have the courage to have an intense tug-of-war with Jiang Zhulu. Jiang Zhulu was very skilled at wrapping up the wound. He used the handkerchief to wrap up Shangxin's injured finger cleanly. He even tied a beautiful bow at the end, which made him look like he was showing off. My skills aren't bad, right? Jiang Zhulu chuckled as he looked at his work seriously. Jiang Shangxin stared at Jiang Zhulu warily and said, "Jiang Zhulu, what exactly are you trying to do?" "What exactly am I trying to do?" Jiang Zhulu thought about it seriously and said, "Didn't I say just now? I just want to see you and let you understand my feelings for you." Jiang Zhulu held Shangxin's injured hand between his two hands and looked at her affectionately. He said, "Shangxin, do you know how upset I felt when I saw the photo of you and Fang Yin hugging each other? At that time, I was about to go crazy. I wanted to destroy the entire world. I wondered why that moment wasn't the end of the world." Shangxin, the difficulties are only temporary. Believe me, as long as the Jiang family gets through this hurdle, I have the confidence to revive the Jiang family. By then, you will be able to live a glamorous life as the young mistress of the Jiang family again. Shangxin, can you give me a little more time? Jiang Zhulu. Jiang Shangxin didn't know how to communicate with Jiang Zhulu anymore. This person was so crazy that she didn't even know which sentence was true and which was fake. However, even if what he said was true, could they go back to how they were before? Even if Jiang Zhulu still loved her, could she fall in love with him again? As she was thinking about this question, another figure became clearer and clearer in her mind. Men were passionate and sentimental, while women were loyal and heartless. When a woman fell in love with someone, it meant that she had truly fallen in love. When a woman stopped loving someone, it meant that she would never love again. It was completely impossible for them to be together. It turned out that she already had an answer in her heart. Jiang Zhulu stuck out a finger to block Jiang Shangxin's lips and said with a smile, "You don't have to say anything and you don't have to explain anything. Think about it properly after you settle down in France. Think about your future, and think about our future. I think that you will be able to have a clear answer about our relationship then." Since Jiang Zhulu didn't allow her to speak, Jiang Shangxin didn't say anything either. She didn't want to say anything in the first place. Jiang Zhulu leaned forward and wanted to plant a kiss on Shangxin's forehead. Jiang Shangxin leaned back stiffly and used her elbow to push against Jiang Zhulu's chest to prevent him from getting closer. Jiang Zhulu grinned and didn't want to force her. He looked at Jiang Shangxin with a gentle smile and said, "Go on, take care." Jiang Shangxin still didn't say anything. Jiang Zhulu took a deep look at Jiang Shangxin before he pulled the car door open and got out. Jiang Shangxin heaved a sigh of relief. This devil had finally left. Bam! The car door was pulled open again. Jiang Zhulu looked at Jiang Shangxin's nervous expression and reminded her with a smile, "Send me a message when you arrive." This caused Shangxin to widen her eyes and stare fixedly at his every move. Goodbye. Bang! The car door was closed again. When the car door opened again, it was Lu Jiang who had returned to the driver's seat. Lu Jiang turned around and looked at Jiang Shangxin. His gaze shifted to her injured finger joint and he asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," Jiang Shangxin replied like a wandering spirit. After experiencing the scene just now, she felt that half of her soul had escaped. "Let's set off then." Lu Jiang smiled and started the car again. Jiang Zhulu stood at the highway junction and watched the luxury car drive away with Jiang Shangxin. The smile on his face became cruel. "I really don't like to do things like this. There's no technical content at all." As he spoke, he took out his cell phone from his pocket and dialed a number. He said, "The target has boarded the plane and is expected to arrive at 6 o'clock tonight. I'll do it when she arrives in France. I'll do it cleanly and beautifully." Chapter 554. Tang Yong hesitated and finally took the initiative to greet the beautiful lady sitting beside him. "Miss." Jiang Shangxin turned a deaf ear to him and stared blankly at the gloomy world outside the window. Did she really leave just like that? Why did she feel so indignant? Paris was a city that was both familiar and unfamiliar to her. When she came back from Paris, the plane landed at the Yanjing International Airport. She stood on the spiral staircase and swore that she would never leave Wuxia again. She could only find the freedom and enjoyment that she wanted in her own country. Wuxia's people were so familiar, Wuxia's food was so delicious, Wuxia's friends were so warm, and Wuxia's relatives were so indifferent. When a person leaves his hometown, no amount of resources can make up for it. But why did she have to leave again? And in such a humiliating way? Jiang Shangxin had a faint worry that she might not be able to come back after going to Paris. She couldn't come back if Jiang Junling didn't want her to come back. She couldn't come back after Jiang Junling took over the Jiang family. Fang Yan. A familiar figure appeared in Jiang Shangxin's mind again. Why did she think of him at this time? Was it because of the regret in her heart and the anger and humiliation after being rejected? "Goodbye, Fang Yan," Jiang Shangxin said to the empty tarmac outside. "You idiot! Why did you reject me? I know that you don't like me. Even if it was just once." Tang Yong swallowed his saliva and started to gather the strength to speak again. "Miss." Jiang Shangxin finally came back to her senses. She turned to look at the young man beside her and asked, "You called me?" "Yes." Tang Yong nodded and looked at Jiang Shangxin. Miss, are you all right? I'm fine. Jiang Shangxin replied. But your finger is bleeding. Tang Yong pointed at Jiang Shangxin's palm and said. Jiang Shangxin lowered her head to take a look and said, I'm fine. Although Jiang Zhulu had tied a silk handkerchief around the wound on her finger, he didn't apply any ointment on it. He also didn't use any medical bandages to bandage it, so the wound hadn't healed yet. The silk handkerchief was soaked in blood, and it was currently dripping down to her feet. If it was in the past, she would have screamed for help if such a wound appeared on her body. But now, she was calm as if nothing had happened. Compared to the damage he had suffered in his heart, this little pain was nothing. This won't do, Tang Yong said. He waved his hand and shouted, Stewardess, please get the first aid kit. The stewardess immediately came over and asked, Sir, how can I help you? Tang Yong pointed at Jiang Shangxin and said, Please take the first aid kit, this lady's finger is injured. When the air stewardess saw Jiang Shangxin's finger, she hurriedly said, Miss, are you all right? Do you need us to take you to the doctor? I'm fine. Jiang Shangxin glanced at the air stewardess. Bandage it. All right. Please wait a moment. The air stewardess turned around to get the first aid kit. Jiang Shangxin wanted to untie the blood-red silk handkerchief, but it was tied too tightly by Jiang Zhulu, and it was really difficult to untie it with one hand. Tang Yong looked at Jiang Shangxin's actions and said, Let me help you. No need. Jiang Shangxin rejected him. It's okay. We have to help each other when we are out. Who hasn't met with difficulties? As Tang Yong spoke, he lifted the small table in front of him and placed Jiang Shangxin's arm on it. Then he deftly untied the bow on the silk handkerchief. The air stewardess came over with the first aid kit. Tang Yong stretched out his hand and said, Cotton ball. Medicinal wine. Sir, are you a doctor? The air stewardess opened the first aid kit and handed over the things that Tang Yong needed. My father is a doctor, and I learned a few things from him. Tang Yong smiled shyly and looked like an honest man. That's great. The air stewardess smiled and complimented him. Being a doctor is really a good profession. Thank you. Tang Yong nodded and smiled at the air stewardess. After the silk handkerchief was untied and thrown into the trash bag, Tang Yong used the cotton ball to clean up the blood stains on the wound, and the original appearance of the finger was revealed. Looking at the finger that was so badly mutilated that the bone was almost exposed, Tang Yong said in surprise, Oh my God, what exactly happened? Miss, your finger is seriously injured. If it gets inflamed, the consequences will be dire. If the bone necrosis occurs, the finger may need to be amputated. Do you know that? I know. Jiang Shangxin said. Actually, she didn't know. She didn't even know the extent of her injury. She didn't want to open the silk handkerchief to take a look. Subconsciously, she didn't want to touch the handkerchief that was wrapped around the wound. How good would it be if she could sever her relationship with Jiang Zhulu this way? Then why did you? Tang Yong originally wanted to say that since she knew, why didn't she go to the hospital to bandage the wound before coming back? However, when he saw the woman's cold expression and hostile gaze, he swallowed the words that he was about to blurt out. This was a woman with a story. Furthermore, she had a strong sense of self-defense and didn't want anyone to touch her easily. Tang Yong helped Shangxin apply a thick layer of ointment on her finger. Then he used the gauze to bandage the wound carefully. It could be seen that Jiang Zhulu did have a certain level of medical foundation. His bandaging technique was simple and professional. Furthermore, the tightness was appropriate and wouldn't cause one to feel any pain. Also, the gauze wouldn't fall off with a casual tug. After Tang Yong tied a knot in the gauze, he said, All right. Do you feel any discomfort? If not, I can help you adjust the bandage. There's no need. Jiang Shangxin retracted her arm. The air stewardess packed up the medical kit and the trash bag. Then she looked at Tang Yong and said, Sir, thank you very much. You're welcome. Tang Yong smiled and replied. After the air stewardess left, Tang Yong looked at Jiang Shangxin, who had cast her gaze out of the window again. He said, Can't bear to leave this city. I'm not in a good mood, you don't have to talk to me. Jiang Shangxin said coldly. I know that you mean well, but I feel sorry for brushing off your enthusiasm. Also, I feel very tired. Tang Yong rubbed his nose awkwardly and said, I'm sorry, I just want to sit together with you. Furthermore, we are going to Paris together. We can talk to each other on the journey, and we can also be friends when we reach Paris. Thank you, Jiang Shangxin said. Tang Yong knew that Jiang Shangxin wasn't willing to talk, so he took out a newspaper from the back pocket of his seat and started reading it. Lu Jiang stood at the entrance of the airport and took out his cell phone from his pocket to make a call. Has Shangxin left? Li Yun's voice sounded from the other end of the line. She has left, Lu Jiang replied. Miss is not in a good mood. There was silence on the other end of the line. After a long while, a voice sounded again. Come back, it's been hard on you. Jiang Zhulu is here to see Mississippi, Lu Jiang said. Although he was a spy that the Jiang family had arranged to be by Li Yun's side, Li Yun was also clear about his identity. However, he still had to fulfill his role as the chairman's chauffeur before everyone fell out with each other. Jiang Zhulu? Li Yun's voice was obviously raised, and her tone was a little sharp. What is he doing there? He said that he wanted to say goodbye to Mississippi. I wasn't in the car, so I don't know what they talked about. You mean that he didn't see Shangxin at the airport? At the entrance of the expressway to the airport. Lu Jiang replied. There was silence on the other end of the line again. After a long time, a crisp cracking sound could be heard. Li Yun hung up the phone. Obviously, Jiang Zhulio's actions had infuriated Li Yun. Lu Jiang kept his cell phone. Just when he was about to walk toward the parking lot, a man hurriedly walked toward him from behind. Lu Jiang's sense of danger was extremely strong, and his first reaction was to dodge to the side of the road. Swoosh! A cold object flew to the back of his neck. When he reached out to touch it, he felt a sharp pain on his neck, as if it had been pricked by a needle. This is Bee Snake. A hoarse and weird voice sounded beside his ear. He turned around, but did not see anyone. When he turned around again, a dark and skinny man wearing a black tracksuit and a hoodie was standing in front of him. Its mouth is like a needle, so it can't eat meat. It only likes to drink blood. The dark and skinny man stared at Lu Jiang fiercely. Of course, when it drinks blood, it naturally has to stab its long mouth into your flesh. If you don't get the antidote within an hour, you will bleed to death from all your orifices. Who are you? Lu Jiang asked fiercely. He reached into his pocket for his gun. Before you take out your gun, you might as well look at your palm first. The dark and skinny man said. He knew what Lu Jiang wanted to do. Lu Jiang opened the palm of one of his hands, and countless fine red spots appeared on his palm. Those red spots appeared at a speed that was visible to the naked eye. Very quickly, his palm was filled with red spots, and they spread toward his arm. What is this? Lu Jiang asked anxiously. Bee snake spots. The dark and skinny man smiled and said, Bee snakes are very narcissistic. They like to turn their food into the same skin color as themselves. Oh yes, they are still lying on your neck and refuse to come down. Who exactly are you? What exactly do you want? Lu Jiang roared angrily. He was really furious. Who did I offend? I went to the airport to send someone off, but I met a psychopath. The key was that this psychopath was very lethal. He felt goosebumps all over his body when he was stared at with that kind of gaze. His back was gloomy, as if he was being watched by a group of terrifying poisonous creatures. Where is Jiang Shangxin? The dark and skinny man asked aloud. Lu Jiang became calm instantly. He looked at the dark and skinny man and asked, Are you Fong Yan's man? Come back and answer my question. Where is Jiang Shangxin? She has already boarded the plane. Lu Jiang said. Now that the plane has taken off, the dark and skinny man frowned and said, The plane can't take off and she can't go to Paris. Chapter 555. I'm sorry to inform all of you that the plane cannot take off due to air traffic control. Whoosh! There was a commotion in the cabin. Why is it air traffic control again? Who can tell me what is air traffic control? Don't ever fly with this airline again, they are always late. Can we turn on our cell phones and play some games? Anyway, the plane cannot take off anytime soon. Tang Yong saw Jiang Shangxin turn around and look at the air stewardess who was explaining to the passengers. He smiled and said, "There are more and more air traffic control nowadays. No matter what the reason is, they always use air traffic control as an excuse." Seeing that Jiang Shangxin did not respond, Tang Yong continued, "You have to drink more warm water. It's good for your body. Don't catch a cold at this time. If that happens, your body's immune system will be weakened and your wound may become infected. If you don't mind, I can accompany you to the hospital when we reach Paris. I have a friend who is a doctor there." "Thank you." Jiang Shangxin thanked him again. "It's okay. Miss, do you always keep people at arm's length?" "No," Jiang Shangxin replied. "I pulled a man to the toilet in the bar and asked him to use me, but he rejected me. This happened last night." Tang Yong felt that there was no way to continue this topic. The man beside her stopped hitting on her, and Jiang Shangxin finally got the peace that she wanted. She thought about her father's tragic death, her mother's heartlessness, her husband's viciousness, and the huge and fickle family. At this moment, Jiang Shangxin's heart was as cold as ice. She felt that she was an orphan who was being abandoned by the whole world. As Jiang Shangxin was in the first-class cabin, the service she received was different. A stewardess rushed over and said, "Miss, please wait for a moment. The plane will take off soon. Would you like something to drink?" "No need," Jiang Shangxin replied. "Thank you." Jiang Shangxin asked for a blanket from the stewardess and got ready to lie down and rest. She did not sleep last night and encountered such an incident early in the morning. She felt extremely exhausted. "Sir, what's the matter?" "Sir, you can't go in." The voice of the stewardess came from the door. "I'm sorry, I'm looking for someone. Please make an exception, I'll leave soon." A familiar man's voice rang out. Shangxin widened her eyes in disbelief and stared at Fang Yan, who had appeared at the cabin door with a smile on his face. Jiang Shangxin's mouth moved, and she wanted to say something. However, her eyes revealed her emotions first. Large drops of tears rolled down her cheeks as if something was stuck in her throat. Jiang Shangxin had never thought that there would be a man who would still think about her and be willing to do such a thing for her when her husband and mother had abandoned her. In order to keep his departing girlfriend, a man used all kinds of methods to delay the plane, and then ran to the plane to confess in front of countless passengers. Wasn't this a classic scene in idol dramas? Fang Yan walked toward Jiang Shangxin step by step. Smiling, he asked, "I'm not late?" This made Shangxin's tears flow even more rapidly. Unable to speak, she could only shake her head to express her feelings. "Follow me back." Fang Yan reached out his hand to Shangxin. Jiang Shangxin wiped her tears with her sleeves but did not agree to Fang Yan's request. "I spent so much effort to chase after you. You won't reject me, right?" Fang Yan smiled and said, "There are so many people watching. How embarrassing would that be for me? Let's go, follow me back. We're not going to Paris." Jiang Shangxin was hesitant. What was the meaning of going back with Fang Yan? What was her relationship with Fang Yan? Would Fang Yan be able to provide her with a safe harbor? Furthermore, if she went back, what would Jiang Jialing think? What would Jiang Zhulu think? How would they treat her? Would they make things difficult for her mother? No matter how cold she was to her, she was still her mother. She was her only family member in this world. Fang Yan had already attracted everyone's attention the moment he appeared. When he reached out his hand to Jiang Shangxin, everyone's gaze became interested. It would be a good thing for them to watch a romantic drama when they were flying. Seeing that the female lead, Jiang Shangxin, was hesitant, the audience automatically played the role of a minor character in an idol drama. Everyone shouted together, "Follow him! Follow him! Follow him!" All the passengers on the plane were shouting, and the shouts were getting louder and louder. Even the captain opened the cockpit door and looked over. Jiang Shangxin wiped her tears with a tissue and looked at Fang Yan with her red and swollen eyes. She said, "Fang Yan, thank you, but I can't go back." "Why can't you go back?" Fang Yan smiled and said, "If others don't care about your life, then don't let them control your life. The place you are going to is not a good place for you. Let's go, follow me back." "Fang Yan." Follow me back. Tang Yong looked at Fang Yan with an unhappy expression and said, What's wrong with you? She doesn't want to go back. Why must you force her? Fang Yan glanced at Tang Yong and said, I didn't force her, I just wanted her to have another choice. She has already made her choice. She doesn't want to go back. Tang Yong said with a gloomy face. He shouted at the air stewardess. Air stewardess, what's going on now? Can the plane still fly? Anyone can barge in. What if there are terrorists? Is this the professionalism of the airline? The air stewardess had no choice but to persuade him. Sir, the plane is about to take off. Can you please get off the plane immediately? You will affect the other passengers and the normal operation of the plane. Fang Yan looked at the air stewardess apologetically and said, I'm sorry, I'll leave after saying a few words, very soon. It won't take up too much of everyone's time. Sir. Fang Yan reached out to Jiang Shangxin again and said, I know that this is the only way out for you. I am willing to give you another choice. Why? Jiang Shangxin stared at Fang Yan and asked. A friend of mine once said that if someone can give you a bowl of water when you are thirsty, if someone can give you a coat when you are cold, if someone reaches out a hand when someone is down and out, that bowl of water, coat, and hand will be magnified infinitely and become her entire world. She also said that she has experienced what you have been through before, and it makes one feel hopeless just thinking about it. Therefore, she felt that I should take a step out and not wait for a pitiful woman to walk back on her own. Therefore, I rushed over to look for you. Jiang Shangxin's eyes teared up again and she said, That woman, is she Lu Chaoga? Fang Yan nodded and said, She is my friend and also a very great woman. I think that if there is a chance, the two of you will definitely become friends. Jiang Shangxin nodded and said, She does understand me. You don't know how touched I was when you appeared at the cabin door. But Fang Yan, I can't go back. I can't only think about myself, I have to think about my family. She hurt me and protected me at the same time. I can't make her situation more difficult. I understand your concerns, but have you thought about it? When you reach Paris, who will guarantee your safety? Jiang Shangxin stared at Fang Yan with her eyes wide open and said, What do you mean? How was this possible? She had already agreed to go to Paris and agreed to leave the familiar environment and life. She had even made up her mind to never return. Why were they still unwilling to let her go? Fang Yan sighed softly and said, No one will believe a woman who has a change of heart. Since they have made the decision to let you leave, they must already know what happened in the bar, right? Jiang Shangxin remained silent. Of course they knew. If they didn't know, why would they be in such a hurry to chase her out of Huaqing and to France? Trust me one more time, just like last night. Fang Yan smiled gently and reached out his hand to Jiang Shangxin again. I know what kind of people they are, I know them better than you. Jiang Shangxin was tempted. Looking at Fang Yan's eyes, she couldn't help but want to reach out her hand. You idiot. She already said that she doesn't want to go back. What right do you have to threaten her? Tang Yong shouted angrily and raised his hand to slap Fang Yan's arm. Fang Yan used the little dragon catcher hand to counterattack, but he didn't expect Tang Yong to dodge it. Fang Yan reached out again, and Tang Yong actually punched Fang Yan's face. Bam! Fang Yan stabbed Tang Yong's eyes with his fingers like knives. Tang Yong's face was full of fear, but he didn't dodge it. He gritted his teeth and waited for Fang Yan's attack. If Fang Yan dared to hurt someone on the plane, he would be taken away by the air traffic police as a terrorist. Fang Yan's fingers clenched into a fist, and then his fist lightly hit Tang Yong's chest. Bam! Tang Yong flew backward as if he had been electrocuted and his body landed heavily on the cabin. Fang Yan, Jiang Shangxin hurriedly stopped him and said, He helped me just now. Although Jiang Shangxin didn't like Tang Yong's interruptions and attempts to strike up a conversation, he didn't hate him either. Furthermore, he was the one who helped to bandage his wound just now. He didn't want Fang Yan to hurt Tang Yong either. Fang Yan stared at Tang Yong with a sharp gaze and said, Don't you find it strange? Why is there a martial arts expert sitting next to you? And he was so vehemently against me bringing you back. Jiang Shangxin stared at Tang Yong in shock, as if she was looking at a poisonous scorpion. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.